now. Here we go 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 now. now. Here we go 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 now.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? Kicking up the dust, if you know what I mean. We got a good thing going. We got a good thing going on.
Make it clap.
Hello and welcome to PUBG Mobile Club Open 2021 for the Bangladesh region, and it is day number 2 where we are going to start things off. But with that, it is a huge thanks to Oppo F19 Pro for, of course, making it happen. Hashtag Book Up Your Fun along with, of course, Nemo TV, our official media sponsors. But with that, moving the conversation along, I mean, of course, Ankit is going to be joining me as we get the journey started off. Day one, we got introduced to, of course, Group A and B.
Yeah.
But now it is going to be a conversation about Group C and D. And in that, Ankit, you were talking about certain teams that you are looking forward to, right?
Big names, Goliath,
Yep.
I mean, TRZ Esports, I mean, the recent concluded tournaments, and also teams like Bad Intentions that will be obviously chiming in. And some certain teams are really having a good time. Some teams really have a very good experience playing in the past. Talk about the earlier PMCO and also those experience that can come into back. So yesterday it was A and B, where it was God's Ribbon, I guess, that was completely gobsmacking performance with the annihilation coming in. Today it is gonna be Group C and D. A lot of opportunity for each one of us, but we'll wait to see how all these things are gonna be panning out, because at the end of the day it is gonna be the PMCO, and it's a big opportunity for all the dark horses and all the teams and the players that want them to actually, because yesterday I remember you told that we want them to actually get highlighted at this stage.
Oh yes, most certainly do. And for that, of course, the opportunities are going to be starting off. But with that, let's talk about the entire saga that is in front of us, where indeed we are in part of the semi-finals, where 32 teams are, of course, participating, that have been divided into 4 groups, A, B, C, and D. Yesterday, we got introduced to the 2 groups, that was A and B, and now on day number 2, we move on to Group C and D, where, of course, the teams we shall, of course, be acquainted with in just a few more moments. But along with that, when it comes to the finals, 11 teams will be moving on forth, because we already do have 5 invited teams that are going to be participating in the finals, from Venom Legends to A1 Esports to XP Blood Legion to INES to Black Bulls. And of course, when it comes to the prize pool, it is of $29,200. But apart from that, the major exciting part is the fact that the team that will be winning will, of course, get the money, but also will qualify for PMPL Season 4.
Indeed it is. The caption that you get to see, the highlighted caption, I should rather say, behind and below that $3,600. It is going to be the qualified for PMPL Season 4. I guess more than the prize pool, more than everything, each and every team must be eyeing upon this slot, and this is not going to be easy for all these players, as they have a lot of challenges. They have to really climb a big stage, a big mountain, and how are they going to be doing so? It is going to be the point structure right in front of us. The first team gets the 15 placement points. I mean, they're pretty much the same that we have been seeing throughout, and some teams really rely upon the placement points, some on the kill points, but somewhere down the line some teams really fail to be so, and when they do so, we find them there in the 13 to 16 spot, where they get none, and then it looks very bleak for them. The future looks bleak for them, but for the moment we have to still wait which are going to be the team. But I'm damn sure today is going to be a lot of action, as yesterday we saw that it was some sort of basic gameplay, but today, since a lot of team with a lot of experience, I mean, more aggressive and active gameplay.
Most certainly can be expected from the side, but again, when it comes to the teams themselves, let's have a look at the teams where Group C and D are going to be participating. And in that, right off the bat, we're going to be introduced to KSXPX along with Team IR, Infernal Parasites. That is going to be IPGX along with the Exotron Red Army. Now, that is not it, of course, because in total 16 teams are going to be playing the matches today, and the second group when it comes to Group C, a second lot when it comes to Group C is going to be Final Touch, Limit Over, Phantom For You, as well as Thundercloud.
Exactly, and Thundercloud, some really good teams joining in, and then we get to see teams like Eccentric, Infinity, TRZ Esports, Rare, Mamba, Atomic, Whitecat. I mean, this is a big name. And then we got to see BIT, Bad Intentions, where Stalker, Winter, I mean, both of us, I mean, we have seen in the past.
True.
The prowess that they bring, after all, they have a lot of experience on their back, and a lot of practice have actually made them look so easy.
Most certainly have, and again, I mean, we are going to be hopefully we showcase that sort of a performance itself. And when it comes to the opportunity that they shall have, they will have these 4 opportunities in the 4 games that will take place, starting off on Erangel, following down towards Miramar, Sanhok, and then coming back to Erangel once again. So a lot of aggressive plays is what I'm hoping that will be in store for us, but also it is going to be a conversation about which team is going to be undertaking the opportunity to take down the teams from Group A and B that performed yesterday.
That is going to be the question. That is going to be the question, as it is going to be a tough challenge. God's Reborn have set the threshold to 69, if I'm not wrong, that they secured in the 4 matches. We have to still wait for that and get what sort of authenticity my stats bring in. But I saw, as far as I'm concerned, it is going to be a not easy task for them, because it was God's Reborn that was completely smacking the performance in yesterday's match. But today it is going to be different teams, but the challenges still remains the same.
Absolutely, as you so perfectly mentioned, when it comes down to the overall rankings itself, we did see GR make a perfect play for themselves with, again, that chicken dinner, as well as the kill department working in that favor, and that perfect number of 69 working for GR Esports. But as the conversation moves in towards the second position holders, we've got MARTYRS Epsilon, who was also able to get that chicken dinner for themselves, and along with that, the perfect placement points working for them. Now, since these teams have already played their games yesterday and showcased that sort of performance, it is about what Group C and D are going to be doing, and which team from Group C and D is going to be participating in the top 8.
Black Diamonds, I mean, really played well.
Oh, yes.
4 game, 1 chicken, 16 kill points. But for the moment, it is going to be the time to head toward the second half of the chart, where we get to see 9 to 16. I mean, a lot of team, that have played all the matches, but then it was learned from past that really played just the 3 matches, but still on the 9th position. The difference is not so much if we get get a look over it, because the 9th spot team has 18 total points, and PX Esports, the team that really tried to play well at the end of the day, was looking strong with total 9 points. Unstoppable, on the other hand, standing at 12th position, getting 12 total kills just in 4 matches. I mean, the aggression was surely there in their favor. Everything was going pretty well. They were going in the formation and looking pretty well in terms of they taking the fight. Everything was going well until unless they really faltered down on the total placement point. So it becomes important actually to be consistent, not only with the kill points and to the placement points. And this has been that this custom, I would say, because you have to be consistent enough to be at the top is the question. How many teams are going to be emulating and replicating it? Till now, it has been all domination from Group B and B. How many teams will be making an entry from C and D? We have to wait and watch. As 4 games, I mean, a lot of opportunities for today. I mean, 4 games for 2 Erangel, then the void is filled between Miramar and Sanhok. A lot of opportunities.
Most certainly. Again, I mean, as you so perfectly mentioned, consistency is going to be key for these teams. But along with that, of course, Group C and D are going to be playing their first ever game in PMCO 2021. And that is what, of course, for now, this team are going to try and just, of course, get the information based on the opponents that they're playing against and the drop locations and the contestations. And that is something that is going to make it that much more trickier affair for the first game, because it could go either ways. Yes, there are some really talented teams, but eventually it's not just the talent, it is also you knowing the lobby, you knowing who are you going up against, and that is something that can very well be a game changer for certain teams that are going to be participating now. But along with that, again, the conversation will be that which of these teams will move on to topple over the chart, simply put, when it comes down to the top 8, because again, 69 points is the leaders, who are of course right now GR Esports, but it is not going to be, again, I mean, they did it in 4 games, right? So it is very much possible that the teams that are participating today very well could get very close to that sort of set mark that's been created from GR Esports.
Pretty much possible, still doable, because 69 total points, that is a perfect number to have at your place, but that can be overcome at any point at any time, because as A and B got the 4 matches, so equal opportunity will be getting for C and D. So there is no sort of this indifference that is created between both the teams. And 4 games, that means opportunity will be there for today. But I really want to talk about God's Reborn. I mean, the team, you remember the push that they gave on 7C GSM. I mean,
just the kill hungry team is what that is. Every single time.
Exactly. And in that match also, there was some sort of grenade that was lobbed spot on. That means that really blew off my mind. Not only mine, the opponent would have been completely surprised. And talking about that, it was Totter that got the 12 kills, 1700 damage sort of, and average survival was also good in terms of what they were able to secure. So will anyone would be there to actually topple them? Because at the end of the day, 4 games for them also. So a lot of things to talk about. The kill leaders, will they be able to do so? Or the total overall ranking for total matches. So we have to still wait and see, because as I mentioned, it is going to be TRZ Esports, the team that we have seen in the past. The recent concluded in the national championship, we have seen this team actually performing to this best, giving tough fight to big names such as A1 Esports, Venom Legends. They were kept on bay when TRZ Esports actually started performing. And since this team holds a lot of confidence, a lot of power, gunfight, talk about any sort of thing, Mamba also comes into fray.
Oh yes, every single time when you talk about TR's Esports, Mamba Noob is certainly going to be a part of it. And again, I mean, this team has been participating in games since such a long time. They've gained the experience, they've been part of that momentum role, and now that momentum is most certainly favoring them in terms of their gameplay. But it is also going to be fact that when it comes to the lobby itself that has been created between Group C and D, will the lobby allow them to create that sort of a havoc and destructive sort of a play into this game that will be played, of course. To start things off, it will be on Erangel, and we are going to get started off with match number 1 any minute now, because after all, when it comes to the teams, they are prepped and ready, they are in the lobby, and I certainly do hope that you guys who are participating, hopefully in the chat, do not forget to showcase the love that all these teams so definitely do need. Now, in that, of course, when it comes down to predictions, right? I mean, as of now, it is absolutely up in the air. No idea what to anticipate from this lobby. But if you were to just pick one team that you would like to see get into the chicken dinner?
Without any doubt, TR's Esports. Without any doubt, TR's Esports, because they have blown my mind in the past, and I'm really impressed. And once they get the prowess and the difficulties in this lobby, the impediments, how are they going to make of it? That is going to be the question of the hour.
Absolutely. With that, let's jump right into match number 1 on Erangel, where we will be seeing the flight path come in onto our screens, where, of course, it is going to be starting things off from the southern side. That is going to be from the military base, going down towards Georgiopol, so mostly favoring towards the west. And it seems like the circle, when it comes to it, could very well throw a little bit of a curveball, because the flight path is favoring the west, but circle, I think, throwing the curveball will probably be drawn to the east, but we shall see what the case is going to be. For now, there are teams moving on down towards the military base itself. We've seen at least 2 teams who have gone on down towards the military base and are going to be getting themselves acclimated on towards that spot. But again, will that be a contestation? Will there be a fight that can be anticipated in the first few moments itself? That perhaps does not seem to be the case, as it seems like one team is going to be going on down towards the Novorupnoi altogether itself, and on the other side, when it comes to FC, they are going to be sticking to the military region itself.
Final Cut Esports, that is going to be the team that are holding strong base of military base island, and more often we have seen teams do really love to go towards that island. But talking about the landscape, I mean, that military base is completely isolated. The only 2 options, if you take the land one, if you don't take the oceanic region, it is going to be the 2 only ways. It is going to be the Novorupnoi bridge and the military bridge. But talking about that, since we have talked a lot about military, the circle is also favoring military, but the question still remains. Once the circle goes for the second or third shift, is military gonna be in the circle? What do you think, brother?
Absolutely. I mean, it could very well be the case, but I would love to again see one of those crazy finishes where it goes down towards the Novorupnoi bridge itself, right? It's just the bridge that the circle slowly keeps on hunkering on down towards, and that's what makes teams jump into the water itself. Some teams coming in from the military base, some coming in from the main island itself, and that creates absolute chaos and ruckus all across. But eventually, when it comes down to the first blood situations, as of now, there certainly does not seem to be the case that is happening. We are, of course, going to be joined in with Final Touch, who are in this lobby with only 3 players this time around. They don't have their 4th man, but eventually when it comes to the play itself that they are creating, we are looking at them trying to get themselves into an acclimated compound. There is another team in the mini-map that we can clearly see that's going to be following them, rushing them, and it seems like when it comes to the play style, for now, this team is going to be on the run. Final Touch certainly not yet able to get any loot segregated for themselves, and also we are, of course, introduced with the 2 lads. That's going to be Old Boy and his teammate, but where exactly is a Rebel?
That's the question. That's mine question too. I was hovering my eyes towards that mini-map on the right-hand side of the screen, but just saw that small little yellow marker, not even half of that yellow marker. And yep, there we go. The Bullad is stuck in that rock. He's trying to make a maneuver, and slowly and steadily he is coming close. He is coming close, but on the left-hand side, it is going to be one team that is pretty much close. Now the question remains, do they have any sort of gun? At least one player, if they do have, they will be taking the fight. But all of a sudden, the ruckus is being created. I mean, in yesterday's game also, right off the go, there was some sort of maneuver. There were commotion that was created in the game of Erangel itself when the match actually started. And since it is again Group C and D, and a lot of big names are joining in that do love to take the fight, this area of shelter where we just saw rotation was being noticed, and since Final Touch rotates one player's rotation, they knew that the team might go towards the area of Milta, or maybe Milta Power save, so they will be taken care of. But sad state of affairs. Ouch moment indeed.
Well, again, I mean, what a play. That was certainly not anticipated from the side of KSX's players. They're really good when it comes to the aggressive stance, but driving a car seems is a bit out of touch for the moment when it comes to the first game itself. But that does not really matter because all the players are looking absolutely comfortable as they get themselves busy with the first loot being set up for themselves. Ifty right here on our screens as of now. Again, when it comes to the teammates itself, they are in the vicinity, but they are going to be keeping it an open area for themselves. And again, when it comes to contestations, there was a moment where we could have seen some fights for the team of KSX, but eventually that is not the case. And again, just 4.5 minutes in for the moment, even though this is just the first game that these two groups are going to be playing in the PMCO, eventually it is a slow start as we are not looking at a lot of drop contestations, so to say, nor are there teams wanting to take on such early fights, nor are we actually seeing teams that are so close to each other to take on that fight. But we'll, of course, go back to the map and have a look at that because it seemed like so many teams have moved on towards the western front itself, as they make that rotation in towards the circle, that is when things are going to get trickier.
Exactly, I would too love to see if the observers are listening to us, please show us the map, how the teams are actually rotating towards and how will they get to see how the things are actually panning out. But one thing is for sure that KSX, since they are in the area of Milta, even if the circle goes for the wildest shift, those rarest shift on the military base, this is one of the team that will be getting a better hand. They will be quick on their toes and they need not to make, not to worry about, if I have to just say precisely, and then they will have a very good time. But for the moment, it is going to be Fallen 5 Esports. The lads are moving slowly and steadily. Daddy, it is the one on our TV screen, and he was just trying to rule out the matches. For the moment, it is again gonna be Daddy just finding his 3 teammates in the closer by vicinity. They are looting the area, but that is gonna be enough or not, because these actually isolated compounds don't offer you a large amount of loots. But since all these teams are segregated with the drop loots, I mean, no drop clash that we got to see, since the flight path is eventually not favoring the team going towards the eastern side, still no drop clash, no vehicles run over. And this is something that really haunts me, because I want those early clashes, I want those early bloods being brought down. One team maybe just shattering down, 1v3, 1v2, anything going to that. But all of a sudden it is seeming that Bad Intentions is pretty much in close vicinity, where the players that we just saw a moment ago were on our TV screen on to the other hand side.
Most certainly, and
it is gonna be Rex and Puchinki.
Absolutely, and as the conversation moves on, we are being reduced with all of these teams one by one as they are busy trying to get their loot set up for themselves, and that is looking absolutely favorable for them. And as perfectly was mentioned by Ankit, it seemed like Bad Intentions were pretty close to the players of Fallen 5. Eventually, they will most certainly be trying to perhaps not take a fight for the moment. We shall come back to that if that will be the case. But once again, I mean, when it comes to Phantom Esports or IPGX for that matter, I mean, these teams, they do know how to play the game. They do have the skill. They do know how to converse when it comes to those fights and what fights to take, what fights not to be a part of. And it seems like IPGX have already got a little bit of damage on those players, and with that, the map is of course being brought on. That will give us an indication as to where the teams are. IPGX of course moving on down towards the Georgia pool itself, and on top of them is of course going to be another team that is making a late rotation.
Yeah, indeed, it is. It is going to be of a limit over that is coming in from the northern side, and it is going to be a long pursuit. And they have a plethora of option. They can go towards the Eastern Poliana region, but that is going to be the extended one. The shorter one is going to be the 2 option. Either they come straight into that main island to the area of those Rozok bridge, or from the area that is closer, the bridge that is closer towards the area of the Georgia pool. Eventually you get a lot of bridges that connects the northern island. That's not an island, but still separated with that small little stream that width is not so much, but still they can do so. But some teams are also from that northern extreme ends, from the area of Severny. It is going to be of eccentric Infinity that is slowly and steadily coming in, but till now it is gonna be, my eyes will be getting closer and closer where the players of KS, obviously the Axe teams, are actually positioned, because they have a good chance in this match to actually capitalize upon to that, because in these sort of circles, the circle either tends to go towards the western side. If that happens, X will be getting a power of it. And talking about power, how much powerful this Tesla looks. That beautiful pink skin car, I mean, that looks gobsmackingly fantastic. I mean, that's just so beautiful to watch. The sight was so beautiful. But for the moment, it is going to be Final Cut Esports that is slowly and steadily making a headway towards that Novorupnoi bridge, where they might find the challenge of one team that is in the closer vicinity. It is going to be Dipto that has spotted that US, and as soon as he spotted down, he will be getting and passing the info to the rest of the teammates. Using this dip can be a good option, but it is going to be one team that is pretty much close towards them. We have to still wait for that, how the fight is going to be panning out, but the circle has gone for a shift.
Well, the circle certainly shifting away from the comfort of KSX for the moment as they find themselves to the edge. But then again, when it comes to the rotations, this is where we can clearly see from the side of the military base, teams are going to be making that zone rotation. That's going to be Final Cut right there. And as they do so, they could very well be gate kept perhaps from the bridge camp area. But for now, it does not really seem like that will be the case for the team of FC basically.
Indeed, it is. First drop on its way, MG3 light machine gun. I mean, what's your impression about this gun? I mean, this gun offers the 660, 990 RPM, the rounds per minute. This is a gun that actually is a go-to gun. I mean, since this change, M24 is now a gun that gets spawned on a regular basis when you just drop down. It's no time that you need to wait for the exclusive drop to have your hand upon them. And certainly that did happen. A lot of nerf has been done, as we got to see the damage has been reduced. And since it also now offers that extended AR, you have that opportunity 150. So we have seen in the past from obviously the Bangladesh region, if you remember, some players do love M249 in their hand and they do love to take the fight. But now since this 7.62, it's a custom that 7.62 guns really do give a lot of damage, and since MG3 offers you 2 type of fire rate, this is one gun that I would really have my hands upon, and that really offers you some sort of scopes that get attached to it. But that's certainly gonna be the option to have your, and that also offers you that bipod when you try to prone down and try to, even if you spot down any player, it is also a good option. But I would love to see, till now in this PMCO, in this Bangladesh region, we have yet to reveal how the guns actually come into play, what sort of gameplay the players like to do. Is it the close range where they find it useful, or close to mid-range? But talking about this, it is going to be Team IR that is pretty much close towards where one team that is in the ping marker. But once they are moving towards some other direction, the players are changing the seat, but it is looking pretty much dicey for the moment.
Well, they did make that rotation for themselves, but eventually they find it pretty cumbersome because they find themselves at the edge, and that is perhaps maybe what they actually wanted to do as well, based on the circle and how the circle has been shifted. But along with that, they are going to be in the vicinity of K6 Axe as well, and in doing so, IR certainly were able to bring down a little bit of a damage and knock to the other team that was, of course, rushing them as they made that rotation. But eventually, a kill was not confirmed for the side. For now, of course, as they have made a rotation out in the open, Team IR are going to be faced with the brunt of KSX Axe, and KSX Axe, we can clearly see on the minimap, are trying to be absolutely careful, because their rotation also can be caught off if they are not careful enough, and they are also at the edge for the moment. And right now it is just that small little dip that is certainly going to be favoring them, but most certainly will that be the case for the later half of the game? We shall find out, because the circle is only the second zone that we are part of. With that, we move on again with Limit Over, who are at the receiving end of Ifti's perfect sprays, and Blaze is going to be running away to get himself in the comfort of that compound right behind him. And again, that rotation will be knocked from, of course, KSX Axe's positioning. On the other tangent, it is going to be the players of T-Rex who are so very close to the second airdrop, where indeed they have Groza waiting for them, and hopefully they will be able to take advantage of that real quick and real soon before they make a rotation out of that compound. On the other tangent, this is Team IR once again. I mean, as we were just mentioning, the team did make that open rotation, but now they are pretty much stuck in this dip and are going to have to decide as to what sort of a play can they make from this end.
Indeed, it is. It is going to be an important thing to talk about. But where KSX are positioned, I really like the fact that they are holding the edge of the circle. I mean, they can actually cut off the rotation from each and every team that are trying to rotate from the eastern side, since the player are holding that altitude. Some players are also in the split. I'm talking about Sanhok, and that can create that flank angle, that X factor, if not taken care of by the opponent team, can really lead to a disaster coming in for their side. But certainly going to be favoring them. XPX until and unless the circle just moves away. But as soon as the third circle has shifted, it seems that now they're holding the edge of the circle. As I just pointed out a moment ago, they are trying to scout down each and every angle, from the ocean regions to the land areas to that every sort of thing. They are making sure that they are having a lot of infos, and slowly and steadily it is going to be more team that will be joining in the frame. It is going to be on the left hand side, the yellow marker team that is looking to take up the fight, but it is going to be of IR. Team IR pretty much close towards them, but still not taking up the fight. KSX, by the looks of it, it seems that observers are pretty much stuck to them. I guess not a lot of actions happening to them. We need some actions. We need some actions where it is actually happening. Just show us to us.
Well, for now, it is turning into quite a lousy state of affair indeed. 14 minutes in, but only that one knock that we were able to see from the side of Team IR, that too was not able to confirm into a kill. So a slow gameplay is being showcased from the side of Group C and D, where they are just holding their marker and not really trying to get in on the action. But again, and this is just the first game that these teams are part of, so of course they do want to be able to take it slow and steady. And again, I mean, that is the main thing. Slow and steady wins the race, and again with that consistency is the key. Also being another thing to talk about is what these teams are trying to bring in, but this is just too much of consistency with not a lot of kill department being taken care of. But finally, Bad Intentions answering our prayers and are the ones who are going to be taken in a lot of sprays onto their opponents. But sadly, as of now, again, the kills have not been confirmed, and in doing so, FC will certainly be able to make that rotation.
Indeed it is, but one player still stuck in the situation, but as soon as he will be getting onto the buggy, he will be getting away. And Potato Hill was where they were at the moment at Bad Intentions, and really like to get the better half of the Potato Hill until the moment the circle was favoring them. They were lacking to find themselves in this situation, but as soon as the circle shifted away, each and every team which I remember just finding themselves in a stabilized position. All these, we just got to see TRZ's position. I mean, TRZ's, if one more circle goes into the lap, I mean, they can really have a good powering performance from their side. And also it is going to be IPG, so two teams, I mean, both the greens, one with a different shade, are really looking pretty strong at the moment. But sadly, it is going to be TRZ that will not getting even the edge of the circle, as they now try to make an entry into the circle. But from where they are making an entry, there is going to be a steep down from where from the looks of it, it seems that no other team is actually positioned, but they really need to take care of. But the question still remains, Blotter. The circle is in completely open situation. It's just the single compound onto the southeastern side that is under the control of IR. Rest, it is completely open. In these sort of early game, just the 16 minutes, 16 teams, no blood drawn. I mean, what is just happening? Are we heading towards a complete bloodbath where the complete Erangel's oceans will be turning into red?
Well, green indeed is what the color should be, but eventually again when it comes down to the play itself that is being made from Group C and D, slow start is what this has turned out to be. And eventually though, again, we do know when it comes down to PUBG Mobile, it is the case that no matter if you play it slow, no matter if you play it safe, eventually the circle will throw a curveball to you and you are going to have to fight. And that is exactly what Thundercloud is answering our prayers with, which is going to be the team of course, ATR, which is on the receiving front, and the brunt is being shared from Scar L from Bulbul.
Exactly, it is going to be the Thundercloud that is thundering from that sky range area, and Bulbul brought the knock, but it seems that the player might be going for the push, might be not. We have to still wait for that, but Rex brings one more knock. The kill is not yet done. The kill is still not there. The blood is still not being brought down, as the player are now slowly and steadily going towards their own rotation. Buggy versus Buggy clash. The player tried to take them down, but it was Bulbul that received a lot of shots, just surviving on 20 HP, and some other players from the backhand side are also coming in. 200 meter, it is not going to be an easy task because one of the team was actually getting a better half of that altitude, but all of a sudden now the fight will be panning out. This was bound to happen. I mean, the smaller the zone gets, the intensity of the fight gets much and more intense.
At most certain does, and with that, of course, Fire and Cuts player also losing their life with the only two players surviving on the other tension. When it comes down to Bad Intentions, they were taken on a onslaught against the players of KSXX as they tried to make that rotation, and eventually Thundercloud is being the first team that has been sent back into the lobby with 16th position, and this is now turning into the war that we were predicting, Ankit, because it is limit over against with that perfect setup. Nades are going to be hunkering down on the players of FC, and Final Cut are at the losing end, are at the receiving end, but what sort of an answer are they going to be coming up with through the smokes? We shall have to see.
Limit over, I mean, I really like the positions where they are actually positioned, because there are a lot of barricadings that are being done in order to get those bullets suppressed, but for the moment, if a team tries to push into the trenches, it is not going to be easy task. As now the circle shifts away from Pochinki, it is also a chance for the purple team. That is going to be a Phantom Esports trying to take the player down, and all of a sudden it is a demise as domination mode gets on, which Easy is standing at the moment, and all of a sudden 12 team is what we are heading to see. It is going to be 4 kill straight right off the bat. It is not looking good for the team that have just left the lobby. HRX from the side of Phantom must be hungry as his teammates have got a lot of kills, but he hasn't. But bad intentions for Dean comes into fight, takes down one more player from the side of Rex, and now it is going to be raining grenades onto the heads of Phantom Esports. They really need to dodge it, else it is going to be the deathbed for them too.
Well, Phantom Esports against Phantom for you is what the conversation is turning out here. And again, when it comes to the zone itself, Phantom for you are not looking good. Whereas on the other tangent, Phantom Esports are very much in control. But behind, behold, is going to be Eccentric. And if Eccentric decide to push on against the players of Phantom, now Phantom themselves could find themselves in a sandwich situation on the other side. Of course, for the moment, they are also trying to get themselves into the cover of the zone itself, because when it comes to the Blues are going to be bringing in a lot of damage towards Phantom for you. They have a lot of smoke being popped. The team in pink is going to be Phantom for you, and they are going to try and give that revival. But talking about the circle itself, once again, TRZ looking pretty comfortable as they have perfectly maintained that position from the western side of the zone itself. And again, they are in the comfort of the zone, and there is absolutely no team around them. But eventually coming back to the team of Phantom for you, they are trying to make that rotation away and out, but will not be allowed, because it is going to be none other than Phantom Esports that will try and bring them down, and hunkering them down is what Phantom Esports does best, and eventually has been able to knock down one by one the entire team of course, Phantom for you.
Definitely, this was not supposed the way they should have actually fallen off. They should have fallen off, but certainly not the way. But now, when Phantom Esports, after eliminating Phantom 4, are now getting a brunt of a team as the Eccentric Infinity. This team was actually coming out from Pochinki, and they was duly noting the exact positioning where the players are positioned. I was just waiting when they are going to be indulging themselves into fight. And there we go. The grenades and utilities are being constantly used onto the players of Phantom Esports, and in a while it seemed that Phantom Esports can also be pulled down. And it's not just only Phantom that they have eyes set up on. It is also gonna be on the limit over where they are having their eyes set up on, and they are taking multiple fights. I'm really liking the approach. They are just have 1 kills, but if they get better off of a lot of team, they have some utilities. They have a lot of tractors and a lot of cars that they can burst and get cover of it. If one more zone onto them, or maybe 50 to 60 meters away from them, this can be certainly the game. But Infernal Parasites GX, that is going to be the IPG, also looking pretty strong at the moment, with Shadu, Dictator, Mahfouz and Cynics getting 3 kills all in all for together in its own way. It is going to be Cynics that is getting a lot of footsteps, because the player from the sides of IR is in that compound and he is on the top of them. But will it be enough for IPG's Mahfouz and Dictator to take them now? That is going to be the option, and that is going to be the question. But an alternative way is what Phantom Esports need to find out from here, because after use of 5 to 6 more utilities, the smokes will dissipate from their back. They will be getting away from that, and then they just need to survive and just hope that they just get spotted down.
Well, again, that might just happen or might not. We shall come back to that, as there are only 2 players remaining from the side of Phantom Esports indeed, and they are on our screens. That is going to be Shuo and Knight, and they find themselves in the cover of those buggies. But for how long? As Ankit so perfectly mentioned, that when the smoke dissipates, that is when it could be troublesome for Phantom, but that is not what this team is for. They are just absolutely trying to decimate whatever team they come up against, and this is going to be none other than Final Touch that they bring in the final touches to, and of course trying to take those points away from them by just absolutely pinning them down. Wow.
There were some crates. They are pretty much crates, and I guess Knight is the lucky one, the lucky lad that is getting the loot acclimated, and more smokes and trees must be the first objective to get collected in order to find themselves in the position where they can actually get not suppressed, rather rise from the ashes. The bottom moment is going to be fallen 5. That is making a good spray onto the players, but onto the backhand side it is going to be bad intention that it completely picks her down. But M24 in action comes into play as Stalker takes down one more player onto the other hand side, and they are looking pretty strong at the moment with reducing more and more player from the sides of Rex. It is Stalker that is again being the lone man survivor, and he is the savior for his team as he now gets to revive more and more players. But my question still remains, where are TRZ? They are still away from this fight. 2 kills is what they have secured from the moment. till the moment, till the match that we talk about. But bad intentions, one more knock again. Stalker is not able to get the revival done. Winter now goes down, and all of a sudden it is looking so bleak for bad intentions, as Naruto is the last player surviving in all these situations. It is going to be IPG that is coming in from the southern side, making a big push, making a big statement onto the player, that Shadu creates one more knock.
Well, this is turning into quite an aggressive stance that bad intentions have been able to create. For now, of course, they have been brought down to just that one-man army, and that is going to be perhaps the end of that, because indeed it is going to be the two players who were knocked from the side of bad intentions who have been, of course, sent back thanks to the play zone itself. As we move on down, 6 teams remaining, 23.5 minutes in. We still do have Fallen 5, 3 players looking absolutely perfect, but TRZ finally stepping into the action and are the ones who are absolutely raining in down with just a matter of minutes.
Wow.
They've been able to accumulate 6 kills for themselves. A few minutes ago they were just at 2, but now this is when things are looking absolutely local for, of course, Limit O, because he is out in the open and Siam will certainly
Mamba.
not be allowed, and it is going to be TRZ's Mamba who allows that completely decent finish for Limit O.
Look at the split. Look at the split. The green marker that we get to see. One player is into the center, and it is going to be, I guess, some other players, as Mamba is holding the edge of the circle. Yes, it is going to be the Atomic. Atomic we have seen in the past. He's the one that creates the flank angle, and that goes for the horrendous push. Sometimes he do falter down, but sometimes he really rise from the ashes. So for the moment, it is going to be the Mamba that is looking absolutely storming at this moment, as the team gets secured 10 kills, and Mamba reigning supreme. 6 kills already on the way, as he's marching down towards the players and the teams where IP is actually positioned. And now it is all down to, all of a sudden I just realized it is just the 2 teams and 6 players alive, 4 from the sides of TRZ. Mamba is running out in the open. He's just so confident to take the buggy, and they go for the slam in approach. He could have gone for that walk in, could have walked, but no, it is not going to be, as Mahfouz and Shadu is pretty much strong. Mad Cat tried to take him down but did falter down, and Atomic is trying to lobby that perfect grenade. If he does it, it can be a game end, as now Mahfouz Whitey is being peppered down, and it seems that Shadu has received a lot of splash damage from the use of that grenade. That grenade detonated but still far away, but with that, Atomic fun knock onto Mahfouz Whitey. Now it is all going to be an easy task for Mamba and its teammates, as now they are marching towards, and they are pretty much sensing the situation. 10 kills is what also IPG have secured, and this has been what a match right off the bat, right off the start. It is now seeming that yes, it is going to be the TRZ's game, with the last player standing from the sides of IPG will be taken care of. And right off the bat, I told you, brother, it is going to be TRZ Esports. I mean, what a game, what a game. Lot of team was actually coming in, but then TRZ Esports, the zone that they actually got the favor of, the dip that actually got the favor of, then Atomic's push into the central lines, and he started decimating the player. Not only that, he passed on the much and more important information that the team requires, and then it was all easy for them, as they were having every sort of cover, every sort of compound, the rock, and then they went for the push. 12 kills, 18, 12 damage, 27 total points, right off the go at the 8th position.
Wow. I mean, wow, what a play indeed. It was a slow start from all of these teams, but eventually, as the circle kept on pushing these teams together against each other, it was finally in the final moments that TRZ just completely decimated the entirety of the lobby. And along with that, of course, we did see IPG also taking a lot of wonderful moments for themselves. And not only IPG, of course, there was bad intentions as well, who were taking on quite a lot of wonderful fights. So an interesting play being showcased from these teams. But again, I mean, that was forced. It almost was forced because of the circle. Had the teams been allowed to take a much more passive approach, I think they would have, because of the way that they played in the first, 16, 18 minutes of the game?
Indeed it is.
Pretty
I
much?
mean, yep.
Wow.
You remember that 16, 17 minutes clock ticking, but
Exactly.
the kill number still is on the passive side. That is just not reducing, not changing. I mean, what a game it was. But then down the line, since the circle just shifted away from Pochinki, the fight started happening.
Hopefully that story does not remain the same as we move on along towards the next games, but eventually it is of course going to be based on them and how they play their games. But whatever games that they are playing are working, because IPG walking away with 10 kills. I mean, right now we did see, of course, this team of Mamba, TRZ Esports, with 12 kills, getting themselves in just one game all the way into the top 8 situation. So MVPs being created all across the board. But when it comes to this game's MVP, the most valuable player, I mean, I think it has to be Mamba Noob. I mean, the way he was playing, what the team was looking at, I think 6 kills or something of that sort.
Yep.
And then as soon as he moved on towards the player itself, Mamba, he himself was
had
at
five.
5 kills,
Yep,
right?
yep,
So,
yep,
I mean, a bonkers play is what has been showcased from the side of TRZ Esports. But we shall wait to see what the entire stats are going to be bringing to the table. But again, I mean, boy, this was
Yes.
not anticipated. I mean, I am still just absolutely speechless to talk about. With that, let's talk about the MVP, of course. Let's bring up the MVP and have a look at what player will
You
it
have
be.
it. You have it, Blotter.
Yep,
you
it
have
is.
it. You have it.
It is Mamba, and 7 kills is what we was able to get with 652 damage, and along with that also 2 assists. So
Yeah.
amazing, phenomenal play, and this is when we actually moved on with the 5th circle, and TRZ were only sitting at 2 kills. That was the point when Bad Intentions were looking absolutely supreme. That was the point when IPGX were looking absolutely in control of the contestations. But as soon as we move away from that 5th zone, that is when things absolutely turned away from the likes, and it was TRZ Esports that completely annihilated the play for the entire lobby.
Indeed it is. Didn't give a lot of opportunity for others to actually shine upon. IPG was just hunkered down to the extreme corner, and they didn't really have any other option than to just fall down. But for the moment, it is going to be top players list where we got to see a lot of IPG's player. It is going to be Mahfouz, it is going to be Shadu with a lot of damage and a lot of kills into the favor, and also Bad Intentions Naruto. That was the last player surviving that the onslaught that came in. Eventually, he went down as soon as the players started pinning him down, but till the moment he went down, it was 611 damage that he secured. 4 kills is what he's standing at the moment. A lot of team actually chiming in, and also Fardeen. So the team that has played absolutely well, impeccably well, have now also chimed upon. So not much of changing is what I see.
Absolutely, and that is just the way that this game has turned out to be. There's been quite a lot of stats that are being showcased right here from the TRZ. Mamba taking on the highest kill, Mad Cat taking the longest distance, Atomic making the maximum assists. With that, highest damage was in favor of Fardeen, and of course when it comes down to the most utilities, this is another turn of events where of course Sedative was able to
Nice.
bring in a lot of plays for himself. But will this be the gameplay that will be showcased as the day progresses on along? I mean, I honestly do not want to see this sort of a bonkers play, because TRZ Esports walking away with 12 kills, Infernal Parasites walking away with 10 kills. I mean, the way the group played, Group C and D, it seems like so many of these teams are actually going to be toppling over Group A and B.
Exactly. That is certainly going to be there. 27 points. I mean, if you try to minus 69 by 27, it is going to be somewhere down to 52 points maybe, and no, 42 points maybe. And then it is an easy task for especially TRZ Sports 3 match, 42 points. It's an easy, I would say, with the momentum and with the leap that they have started, it's seemingly likely to look that they might look that 69 point dwarf, but we have to still wait for that, as Eccentric Infinity also had a very good total placement points, but just the 2 kills. But sad thing to actually see. I mean, more often it happens on the second half of the chart. We get to see Final Cut Esports getting eliminated early stage of the game. It was KSX. You remember that flank angle that they created
Exactly.
near the shorelines, but that really didn't help them. Not even in kill points, not even in placement points, because they were hoping. I mean, there is nothing wrong that they do, because these sort of circles tended to go away in that same position where they were actually positioned, but this time it was not the case.
Exactly, that is so true indeed. I mean,
Unfortunate.
it was an anticipatory move from the side of KSXX, but eventually it did not favor them. Nevertheless, I mean, of course, this was just game number 1. We've still got 3 games remaining, and hopefully with that, the things are going to change and the progression will be made for them. With that, let's also have a look at the Oppo F19 Pro moments that will be showcasing the highlights of all the wonderful fights that took place, and it was, well, pretty much the 17th minute marker that the teams finally started jumping into the fights, and this is when KSXX almost lost the cause, and it was Phantom for You who tried to make that rotation, but Phantom Esports stopped them in their tracks. And I mean, again, it was so much of a forced fight for so many of these teams, and that is something that, of course, no team wants to be a part of, but eventually that was what they brought on to themselves by not taking the fights eventually.
Indeed it is. I mean, I mean, 100% agreeing with you with the fact that the circle, the way it tended to go away, most of the teams was just waiting to come towards the shoreline area, towards that Novorupnoy bridge, those churches, look at those compounds, but this was not the case. This circle is certainly not only surprising us, but also taking each and every player by surprise. And then it was all easy for TRZ as slowly instantly the players was going in. Atomic was also not stopping with the action in the last part of the game with M249. And with this, we head towards overall ranking, where right off the go, we get to see TRZ Esports one game, 12 total kills and 15 total points, makes a total of 27. And I'm just waiting when they just storm into that Miramar, what sort of dust, what sort of havoc they create.
Absolutely. They are looking absolutely abysmal right now and are certainly going to be bringing in a lot of damage to the entirety of the lobby. But as we move on along, we shall have a look as to what sort of a playstyle will be created from these teams. And moving on to the second page of the overall ranking, let's see what other teams are the ones who have moved on to this page, which is going to be Infernal Parasites, find themselves on the 10th spot with 22 points. The 10 kills that they were able to get for themselves certainly working in their favor, and if they play their cards just the way that they did in this game, they could also be leaping on to the top 8 in just the next game itself. But 14th position is where Bad Intentions find themselves, and Eccentric Infinity find themselves on the 16th slot. So again, a perfect play being showcased from Group C and D's teams, and as of now, these are the teams that are looking absolutely perfect in the top 16, but falling away from there. This is where anything can happen from one game to the other, because the points are going to be so very close. Fallen 5 are sitting at the 17th position with 11 points, but another thing is going to be that the teams that are surrounding them are all sitting at 11 points as well. And so again, just 1 more point, 2 more points, and this team can move on to the second page of the leaderboard.
Indeed, that can be even achieved with the help of those skills. I'm not talking about the placement point. That is certainly going to be the objective first. But even if you take at least 1 or 2 kills, and surprisingly, till 11 we get to see from, I guess, 23 or 24 to 19. I mean, this is something unbelievable. I mean, a lot of teams still sitting on the same sort of positions, but segregating in terms of kills that they have secured. But GS Legend in yesterday's game, we saw 4 games, it was there, and 9 kills is what they secured. So my question here remains is it gonna be today's any other team that still sits on the second half of the chart and still getting a lot of kills? For the moment, it's going to be limit over. I mean, look at their total kill tally. 6 kills and placement point force. It seems that it's looking like a very promising team.
Exactly. I mean, very aggressive team is what Group C and D have, and that is being showcased right here itself, from all the way to the third page itself, as of course Ankit did mention limit over, with 6 kills that they were able to get in just that one game. So if they continue to play like that, so many of these teams from Group C and D are going to be jumping into the top 8 itself by the end of the day. But at least that is what I'm hoping for, that we'll see. On the other tangent, talk about bad starts. KSX did not have a decent outing in this first game.
Indeed it is. And also Thundercloud, remember they brought the knock from that warehouse to the team on the left hand side, but then when they were trying to make an entry into the open situation, it was a buggy that fall, and that became the reason to their demise indeed. And this is the one kill that we saw in their name in their tally, and that's the only thing that they secured and they took away from this match. But it was also not a start that Zap Canavar was actually looking for, because just the 2 total points equally shared in placement and equally shared in kills, making a total of just the 2 easy matches that you can actually make and the team make. And because of that, some teams really did falter down, but still it is gonna be the 3 games left for the day.
Exactly. We've got Miramar, then Sanhok, and then finally we'll come back to Erangel. But right now, starting off the day, it was absolutely wonderful turnover for the first game. And indeed, I mean, again, it is looking like a destructive performance is what we can anticipate from these matches that are remaining, because one game you walk away with 12 kills, another team walking away with 10 kills, another team walking away with 8 kills. That is just absolutely abysmal to be able to think about, but that is what is being showcased. And with that, it is going to be just a few moments before we jump into, of course, the next game itself. And the next game is going to be, of course, on Miramar. So if, again, that's the reason, that's what I was dreading. See, till 16 minutes on Erangel, they did not take fights. And if that becomes the case on Miramar, that means by 20-minute marker, we're probably going to be sitting and waiting for a fight to take place. But hopefully that story does not end up becoming a reality for me, but eventually for you guys as well. Of course, nobody wants to just sit there lingering on and waiting for the fights to take place. And hopefully that will not be the case. And well, again, enough conversation right now. Let's go on to a short little break. We're going to be right back with match number 2. Hello and welcome once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open 2021 Bangladesh region. All thanks to Oppo F19 Pro. We are on day number 2 being introduced to Group C and D, where they started off an aggressive stance is what they've been able to take. As of now, of course, TRZ Esports finding themselves in the top 8 with just one game that they have played, 12 kills. Phenomenal play across the board. But now, as we jump on into the next game, Miramar, again, I'm just hopeful that what they showcased in the first game does not end up taking place now, because otherwise we're just going to be sitting here just waiting for fights to take place. And yeah, I do not want to talk, please.
The custom says Miramar has to be on a passive side, and 16 to 18 minutes on an average is where we get to see the fights actually erupting, and with the momentum, with the prowess that the teams are coming in, with the intention with the teams are coming in, it's really tough to predict when the fight is will be erupting. Will be it after 20 minutes or will be in the right of the bat, because we may expect some drop clashes. That's what I have for them.
Absolutely. That is one thing that, in fact, we did not really see on Erangel, not a lot actually. When it came down to the drop locations, all the teams had actually segregated themselves so perfectly and so far spanned out they were, that there weren't lot many positions that were being actually contested. But maybe that might be the case as we jump into Miramar. Maybe we might actually see some phenomenal plays right off the bat as we jump into the arena itself. And well, enough said, the flight has taken on. It is now time to jump into game number 2 of Miramar and find out what is the flight path going to be showcasing us.
It is going to be slowly and steadily. There we go. The 0-second mark shows that, yes, we are heading towards the map. And by the looks of it, yes, it was the Campo Militar area where the teams are going towards the drop location. So now a northern-dominated flight path that we get to see. It's a tough call. Puerto Paracio, Impala, Los Leones, and Southern Island, just like Los Higos and Minas del Sur, Prisión, Valdemar. Indeed, it is also going to be Chumacera that it seems that is less sort of unglidable. That means, Blooder, it is going to be drop contestation. Maybe the team might think that if we, on paper, no team would go towards the Torre Humada. And seeing that fly part, 2 teams all of a sudden goes for the same instinct and trust their same instincts and try to follow their gut approach and then land up in the same position. I mean, a hell lot of things that can actually happen. But for the moment, Los Leones is completely out of the fray as the circle is going in. But in yesterday's Miramar, if you remember, the circle formed as centering towards the area of Los Leones with close to 35% of total area of the circle in that water bodies, the oceanic regions that we have seen. And in these sort of circles, if the circle tends to go on same side, on the southern side, I still won't be surprised to see.
Absolutely, that could very well be the case. We shall find out in just a few seconds time where the circle is going to be forcing these teams to go on down towards. But talking about contestations as well, we certainly are looking at ATR, who are absolutely looking very comfortable in the northern western side, eastern side of the map itself, where they are going to be dropping down towards the Camp Militar and are going to be not contested for whatsoever at all. On the tangent, when it comes to the zone itself, Graveyard being the center of the zone, this is looking pretty comfortable for so many of these teams as they find themselves very much in the conversation of the zone's comfort. But on the other tangent, when it comes down to the teams that have gone all the way down towards the western side of the map itself, we have El Pozo being taken over by Bad Intentions team. No team around them to be able to contest that. On top, we have La Cabrera, where indeed there is no one else but Limit Over. So once again, we're looking at the teams from Group C and D who have actually studied each other quite a lot and have been able to get the perfect setup, because for now, there aren't many teams, or in fact, there are no teams that are going to be so very close to each other. But on the front side, or rather on the western front side, I would say, we do have the team of TDEX who have segregated themselves in a 2-man split. Sort of a drop is what we are looking at. And alongside this, when it comes to the entirety of the scene, this is going to be, again, a slow, low-key start for these teams.
Indeed, it is going to be TRZ making a move onto Chumacera and a long glide. That is what we are getting to see. But Phantom 4 is towards the pillars of the area where KSX are actually positioned, with the Thundercloud also slowly and steadily making the way. Zap Canaver has all of a sudden featured on our screen, and we need to talk about this team. The team, to be honest, in the last match didn't really feature in any sort of gunfights, in any sort of gameplay. And just because of that, they really didn't have an influential gameplay. I would really want all these teams that are sitting on that the second, third or fourth half of the chart from that 17 to 24 position that really didn't have a good game. I mean, just forget what happened in the last game. This is a new start, new game, start afresh, and all the teams really have that caliber, the potential to make it, because at the end of the day, they really have worked hard. All these qualified teams, they really have worked hard, and I guess if they all miss this opportunity, it will be something that they would repenting later. So why not to start performing then to repent later? It is another thing, if we just talk about that, because at the end of the day, you really need to fight hard. You really need to fight hard in order to not let your fort bring breach. And talking about that, it is going to be again eccentric Infinity. The players are on a move. Alcoholic is looking pretty much boozed up at this moment, as he is slowly and steadily moving closer towards his buggy and all, and the players are looking to segregate their loot. For the moment, it is going to be, it seems that El Azhar, where they are pretty much in the same position, where the compounds actually looks to me and gives a reminiscent that they are positioned in the same city, and they are sitting in the circle. Eccentric Loki, I mean, we have seen some sort of good performance. The teams dropped down to the area of El Hazard, but surprised to see, even if the drop locations was not pretty much accessible for the teams that love to go towards the southern side, El Hazard is still uncontested by other team, apart from Eccentric dropping down to the same area. And talking about the other team, it is going to be again Phantom Esports. So now this team is one team that obviously obliterated and annihilated the Phantom 4 Esports. If you remember in the last game of Erangel, where they were trying to come out of all of a sudden, they were the team that used the grenades and the utilities to perfection. In these game of Miramar, where DMRs are used to perfections, I would love to see how they actually maneuver it.
Well. Phantom Esports right now, Storm OP with a Scarl moving on across the board, trying to get himself the perfect loot. On the other tangent, Eccentric Infinity, another incredibly talented team that was part of some really good fights in the previous game. They were part of actually making some points for themselves, but now it is about how they play this game around. When it comes to the location itself, there is absolutely no team that's going to be around in that region to be able to give them any problem whatsoever at all, as they do have control of these two buggies. The two players are going to be moving on along with their teammates to get decent amount of loot for themselves from one compound to the other. And as of now, again, when it comes down to these teams, they are all showcasing some perfect plays. And again, once again, it is going to be a slow start for the teams, of course, because, well, they've done their homework so perfectly. They know exactly where the other team is going to be going down towards, and they have decided their own drop locations against that, and that has resulted in a very perfect start for all the teams, in fact, because there's no first blood sort of situation that has been created in this moment or in this game till now. T-Rex right here with a 3-man squad is going to be jumping in and trying to get as much of the loot possible for themselves. For now, again, it is going to be Senor, and Senior is well, with level 1, of course, it's not the best loot that he can get, and he's going to be working on to get that much more. Level 2 West is going to be helping him to his cause. And as we move on to the map itself, we can clearly see all the teams are so very spread out and far apart from each other.
Especially Phantom 4. I'll talk about the players. One is closer towards the main ridge between Montanova and Power Grid, and one onto the complete left-hand side of Los Leones. And there, they are looking pretty much dicey at the moment, but we have to wait and see how they actually strategize. But from the northern side, it is gonna be Exitron Red Army from there of Tierra Bronca. They will be making closing, but this is looking a bad omen for me, because I'll be heading towards one more slow start, because still a lot of space left. We talk about El Hazard, we talk about Junkyard, we talk about La Bendita, and half of the Los Leones. I mean, plethora of positionings, plethora of ridges, ample amount of place where the team can actually be there at this position. But I guess the circle needs one more curve wall if we want those aggressive fights. One more curve wall.
Well, that is true indeed, and I was just noticing what team has not joined into this lobby, as we have 15 teams that are part of this game, and that is going to be none other than Final Touch this time around, who are not part of this game indeed, and that has now resulted in, of course, that much more of a stalemate situation, Ankit, for us, because 4 players not being there. 4 players not being there means that much more of a delayed fight approach that we can anticipate from this.
The more we are asking for it, the far we are getting towards it. First being the slowness of the Miramar, second being the approach the teams are getting towards it, and again, the 16th total lobby. The lobby is still not filled. I mean, the more we are begging for it, the more we are craving for it. I mean, the far we are getting, and that's what life is all about.
Exactly. Because again, I mean, not only us, right? So many casters talk about it. The caster's curse. Oh, it was the caster's curse that resulted in that player just going exactly at that moment going down. It seems like this time around, it is the caster's curse that has backfired on us, mate. That is exactly what's happening. But eventually, talking about the game itself, it is looking like Limit Over is going to be absolutely segregating themselves with 4 individual vehicles. That is a good one. That is a really good approach, because when it comes to this map, you want to be able to, or rather, eventually again on Erangel also, but not on Sanhok, of course. The strategy certainly should be favored for both these maps, because you want to have 4 individual vehicles for yourselves rather than getting yourself encumbered in just that 1 or 2 vehicles. That gives the opponent team that much more of advantages when it comes down to the burst, the spray that are expected from so many of the teams as the rotations are being made from their opponents. But right now, it is Limit Over who is going to be just driving from the northern side to get into the zone. As we can clearly see from water treatment, they are going to be going on down towards the Hacienda del Patron. And along with that, talking about the zone itself, we are finally part of some fights, and it is going to be none other than TC, who's going to be Thundercloud, taking on some decent shots against their team, which I'm trying to spot exactly where they are, because they are in the center, but what team could they be taking a spot towards? It is going to be Phantom it is, and they are looking like, for now, no knocks have been confirmed, but certainly the fights have started taking place.
Indeed it is. The San Martin Ridge, the important, the most important, the infamous ridge that we talk about. The eastern side of Power Grid, the left-hand side of Graveyard, it's where both the team are positioning, and it is going to be hell of a contest. We talk about the use of Mini, the use of DMRs. Can it be used to perfection? We have to still wait for that, as Bishal is using that mini tap shots with that suppressor. I mean, that is really a mesmeric sound, a very fantastic to actually hear. But for the moment, it is going to be him trying to hit down the player's head. Storm, he's still not able to connect one shot at least, but the moment we say, we get to see some fights erupting onto different sides, as both the Phantoms, I mean Phantom Esports, Phantom 4, suddenly out of nowhere, they are finding themselves in a lot of fighting situation. But the worst part for them is that they are in a split, complete split. 2 players onto the center lines. 1 player is there, but that split is far-fetched. That means they are miles apart with the sort of the fight they need to take. It is going to be KSX, which is really good with the rotation that we saw in the game of Erangel. This time is also they are taking control of those important ridges, but taking control and taking control of the ridges and then trying to maximize the opportunity is another thing. And all to that, it is seeming that Axe is faltering down for the moment, as Phantom's Easy has brought that easy peasy knock onto him.
Well, he certainly has, but he has been spotted as well, and of course shots were being taken on against him. Sanhok is also set up with a perfect spray, and is going to be, of course, retaliating against Easy's domination against the players of KSX. And right now, again, the flank angle that has been created from Sanhok is going to be working in their favor. Demon also chiming in along, and with that, the revival will certainly be given to KSX's teammate. But eventually, as that took place, Phantom 4 U's player jumped into exactly the same spot that was being sprayed on from the players of KSX and has taken a knock. But eventually, of course, for now, of course, his teammate is there to give that perfect revival, and that will result in both the teams taking a knock, getting a little bit of damage dished out from both the sides, but no kill being confirmed on either sides.
And the distance was also pretty much, and just because of that, the fight can actually prolong for a long time. The use of utilities gets completely out of the fray, because, I mean, it can pass on to maybe to Molotovs being the longest one that can actually sway into the air for maybe 56 to 60 meters, and then it is the grenades and those smokes. But since the distance is pretty much, we can expect the fight not to go all YOLO, all open, till the moment it is going to be San Martin is where Eccentric Infinity players are positioning themselves. They know they are hearing the sound cues, because it's the San Martin where we got to see the other 2 teams that were on the southern side where they were taking the fight. But for the moment, it is time for the circle shift. Where do you think so? Maybe this time again on the eastern side where nobody is there. Minas, La Bendita, I would love to see that great circle where there is a lot of diff and 360 angle degrees surrounded by those ridges, and no other team would love to be in that pit. For the moment, it is going to be again Rex coming in, but it seems that today the words are being listened. The words are being listened, not exactly, but partially.
Most certainly, that is so very true indeed. And the circle moves on towards the Graveyard region, and in that we do see 2 teams that are so very close to each other, which is going to be Final FC and of course Fallen 5, and that is where we can maybe expect. No, as soon as I say that, it is not going to be the case because the team are going to be rotating out of that center zone. But on the other tangent, when it comes to ATR, they're going to be jumping into the same arena as well. From the southern side, we are looking at IPGX going to be making a rotation through Los Leones in towards Vendetta and then finally into the circle. And as of now, they're moving towards the eastern front, and that is going to be working perfectly for IPGX because eventually there is no team that will be able to contest that rotation. On the other tangent, talk about TRZ. Now that team is taken to the edges indeed, and as they do so, they are going to be moving late into the zone. And as we jump into the game itself, we've got Phantom Esports taking on a shot against the players of Limit Over. A knock has been confirmed, but a kill is yet to be derived. As that knock has been confirmed, the team will be pushing on along to take a fight to the players of Limit Over. And Limit Over's Blaze running was caught, and that flank angle that he was hoping to create has been lost cause, and eventually it is going to be Phantom Esports that will be perfectly nade parading the entirety of Limit Over. For the moment, it is looking like Limit Over's game is not looking too good because one after the other, Sam has been brought down, Knight has confirmed that kill as well, Igniter is on top with not a lot of HP, and this has resulted in Phantom Esports' player Shuvo with a little bit of a knock off himself, but eventually when it comes to Limit Over, that team is going to have to fall back.
Indeed, it is going to be the case, but for the moment, it is Siam that has been sent to the lobby with Igniter still using all the utilities to his perfection. It is still the moment where Knight can be burned down to his death, but it seems that yes, he has a lot of shots, but onto the inside, it is going to be KS X that is taking the fight against. It is obviously going to be the Thundercloud, so Thundercloud again into the fray, but now it is the time where Phantoms, the players are going down slowly and steadily. It is Igniter that is using all the utilities continuously, slowly and steadily. They are marching into the words, but Shuvo is just not stopping with Knight and Storm going down. It is going to be Shuvo that needs to get that breathing space, that needs to get that regrouping time for them to actually take up the fight, and for that Shuvo is making sure that none of the players from the right hand side approaches towards them. Smoke has been created, smoke has been used, but I guess for no use if only if the team LO, that is going to be Limit Over, because Limit Over, as we saw in the last game also, the team actually was pretty looking strong with 6 kills, 4 placement points. This is a team that know how to take up the kills, and that's why a huge resistance is already shown as Storm has gone down. And still, since it was a push that was coming in from big team, I mean PT is a team that really performed well, but the resistance is equally well.
It is most certainly. I mean, Limit Over is not wanting to bow down to this perfect approach that Phantom thought they had, but eventually again, having lost one of the players, Phantom and Limit are now equals. 3 versus 3 is the situation. On the other tangent, Limit Over are taking another fight altogether, where we can see Blaze on top of that is going to be certainly through the smoke actually taking on a lot of kills for himself and a lot of knocks for himself, so looking absolutely in control. And it was none other than T-Rex, I believe, that was at the receiving front. But now in just 30 seconds, both these teams are going to have to get away from the situation. On the other tangent of the map altogether, it is going to be K6 Axe trying to take on a fight against the players of TC, and this is where it is not looking too good because K6 Axe have already lost 2 of their players, and when it comes to TC, Thundercloud are being absolutely relentless in terms of how they're pushing on along, but Mehraz as well as his teammate are going to push on together and bring down TC's player, thus resulting in the revival that is needed, so very much crucial for K6 Axe. They will be able to confirm that.
I mean, indeed, strength and unity is what we just got to see as the player have charged in, and it seemed that the receiving end, it was obviously going to be the Thundercloud. The players have been completely shunned down to the knees, but the fight still goes on and on and on between Phantom and Esports, and it is going to be on the receiving end, the Limit Over team. The fight is still on. The players are going down slowly and steadily, but in all these fights, it is going to be the zone that has unfortunately shifted away. That means now they only need to retreat from this situation, else it will be too late for them, as now still Phantom Esports are making sure that before they retreat, it is going to be a complete wipeout. But the way Knight is running out of the open, this was bound to happen. He actually invited the shots onto him. He was in the open. A really bad move, a really horrendous move, I would say, and just because of that, the rest of the player need to find themselves in the open, and slowly and steadily the team is completely looking unsettled, and they are being torn apart slowly and steadily. A fight that initially was invited and started by Phantom Esports, it seems that Limit Over will have the better half of it.
Well, it certainly does look like to be the case, where indeed when it comes to Fly, the final player remaining from the side of Phantom Esports, is going to have to, well, take things in his hand.
Wow.
And with this being the final first aid that he has, it is not going to be a conversation that he was wanting to find an answer to. Eventually, on the other tangent of the map altogether, Eccentric Infinity has been sent back into the lobby with 0 kills for themselves, so absolutely no point given to them in this map. On the other tangent, Bad Intentions are slowly and steadily certainly moving on to the edge of the map itself, or edge of the zone itself, with 3 kills already confirmed. So looking absolutely in control of their contestations, and now they have TRZ Esports in their crosshairs, as TRZ was making that rotation, and it is going to be Madcap. Well, it was so very perfectly sprayed, but eventually none of the sprays was caught onto the player itself and just the vehicle, and that resulted in, of course, Winter not getting a lot of knocks or kills for himself, but eventually the information at least has been confirmed for him, and now as he jumps to his teammates back into the comfort of the zone, they know exactly where TRZ Esports, or basically a team that that is going to be right in front of them, where exactly are they going to be making that rotation through. And as TRZ make that rotation, they find themselves now in the compound of KSX. We just saw KSX bring down Thundercloud. All together, the entirety of the team was being sprayed on from the side of KSX, and eventually now that exact same horrendous approach is being showcased from them towards the players of TRZ Esports. And TRZ Esports, not allowed to even make a sense of this entire fight, are not looking good in this situation. But one thing that can be working for them is going to be Rare and Mamba, who are in the compound, and they are taking a fight of their own.
Exactly, and pretty much close to where KSX has positioned. And if some knocks are being used, because we know these guys are pretty much...
Well,
What to say? What to say? As soon as you said it was one knock that eventually happened, I mean, I guess they are listening to you. The PUBG gods are listening to you. The players are listening to you. I mean, it should be the moment where I should let you speak. No, 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 no. What have you done, TRZ Sports? What have you done? I mean, we shouldn't actually compliment, applaud.
Well, again, I mean, it is the name of the player right here, Sanhok. So it basically says say no more, right? I mean, it's just him, and he's going to be the one who will dominate those fights. In case X-Ax, that's how they play, that's how they roll, and that's how they dominate. In that doing so, of course, Rare and Mamba were able to get into the arena itself, but the circle now has gone away from them. So they are going to have to decide very quickly to either take on this onslaught or try and just back out of that situation. For now, of course, Mamba finds himself all by himself out of the open, is certainly going to be crossed, and eventually be knocked down to the lobby as well, as Sanhok's will be knocked as well, but the kill will not be given away. So KSX looking absolutely dominating, with 7 kills being confirmed for themselves, absolutely in control, are going to be moving on towards the comfort of the zone, and are going to be absolutely deciding to actually leave their teammate. It seems like they've decided to do so, but on the other tangent, in the circle itself, we do have Final Cut, who are with just 1 kill getting themselves the control of a compound.
Indeed it is. KX slowly and steadily, now after that fight that they are charging upon to the players of Bad Intentions. The rotations are duly noted. That means Bad Intentions are not safe in the vicinity, and the approach with which KSX are coming in, I told you the rotations are pretty much well settled. In the last game it was just the circle that threw the curve wall, and since now it is favoring them, and also the players are well maintaining things, it is looking pretty strong at the moment, as we get to see Phantom 4 Esports getting eliminated. One more bad outing, I would say, not a decent outing. The player would have actually wanted to do so, but it seems that now it's the time that KSX needs to find themselves in an entry. But once they do so, it is going to be Bad Intentions that are parallelly present to them, and it is going to be, if they take the fight, it is going to be a numbers advantage that may favor Bad Intentions, and with the gunpowder that Bad Intentions lad do hold on their collars, I mean, a lot of experience with which they can count upon. But then at then it is KXX that just... Okay, out in the open, Mehraz has been caught down. That means KS location has been certainly severely been punished by some other team, and it is going to be now Bad Intentions that are taking the fight. But certainly in all situation, I guess no team is safe. No team is safe, to be honest. I mean, if you bet on one team apart from Final Cut Esports that we just found themselves in the compound, the baby pink marker that you remember, the team with which they are standing, I mean, apart from them, no other team are safe.
Absolutely, that certainly seems to be the case, but we shall see how this final few fights turn out to be, because when it comes to the zone itself, Infernal Parasites find themselves in the comfort of the zone. They have a lot of information onto the team that is right in front of them. That's going to be Exitron Red Army, and of course when it comes to Exitron's positioning itself, it has been compromised, and when it comes to IPGX. I mean, that team is absolute destruction and behemoth. And right here, we can clearly see Dictator getting that nade parade set up for the players of ATR is what I'm going to call them rather than again and again Exitron, but eventually that nade parade from Dictator has been brought onto ATR, and Sweet Love has been knocked already, and ATR's Macho Man is on towards the flank angle and will hopefully be able to bring it down, but Mahfouz YT is on top of that case and will certainly be bringing another level of performance to this fight, where ATR, even though they could have taken this fight and onslaught to themselves, but it is not looking easy because Dictator and of course his teammates are being so very consistent and being just absolutely brutal to not allow ATR even a slight opportunity to push on or take a fight.
Zap Canavar onto the other side. They are taking the fight like a Bad Intention. I guess this all fight is happening onto the southern side, where Bad Intentions were also trying to make an entry, but in all these fights it is going to be KS Hags that are on the receiving end. Now they are getting the taste of their own medicine, as it is Mehraz that's the last player surviving, but for how long, that is going to be the question. The grenade was thrown onto him, but they just overshooted. There is a tin behind which he is taking the shelter, but the tin offers a huge amount of space. The space is enough for Darkfire to take him down, but he missed that spray by a long margin. And with that being said, it is going to be Bad Intentions player that are on the back foot, as the player's vehicle have been burst down. With the 6th zone coming into frame, it is going to be a tough affair for Mehraz to survive, as he has been pinned down. He just cannot move an inch, neither left, neither right. If he does, he will be straight brought 6 feet down to the ground.
Well, that certainly is the case from the looks of it, and in doing so, we are looking at, well, the 6th circle, 24 minutes into the game. Bad Intentions getting their marker set up right. Winter trying to get that nade parade set up, and it is going to be Zap Kanavar, who are so very close to Bad Intentions. Just perfectly set up nade because they have the information, but perfectly set up nades could very well retaliate against BIT, but we shall have to see what sort of a play will Sedative be able to make. Well, that is not going to be allowed because it is going to be Winter's nade again. That will be decimating the players of Zed, and eventually, as the conversation moves on along, one nade after the other, Winter is just absolutely bringing in a lot of kill department and destruction onto the players of ZZ, and eventually it is going to be an annihilating play where Sux is the only one who is remaining, and in that doing so, Winter will completely confirm 4 kills for himself.
Easy as a pie for them to actually eliminate the player. And now Bad Intentions just trying to converge onto the players where they are making rotation. It is going to be Fallen 5 Esports now. They have their eyes set upon, and I told you it was just the FC player, the Final Cut Esports, the team with the pink marker into the favor, that was getting the cover of the compound. They are still in the compound and are on the edge of the circle. It's them that are standing with 5 men strong, but as soon as Exitron, Red Army are coming to circle, they will be facing the brunt of IPG, as they're now pinning down the players. With Extron last player surviving, it is going to be seemingly a lost case for him. Shadu needs to understand that it's the open truck in which, it's open lorry in which he's actually finding himself, and Mahfouz will be finding himself into it. Getting one knock and kill into his favor will be certainly helping his cause. But Final Cut Esports, they really have a good chance. Coming in from the southern side, it is only the one big team on the left hand side with the dip that they are playing for, with the tin, with the cover that they can actually play for. If they try to play their cards well, this can be certainly converted into a chicken.
This most certainly could be the case, but IPGX right now holding that compound steady for themselves. On the other tangent is going to be Bad Intentions, who are also out in the open, but are going to have to be really careful as they try and make that rotation in towards the comfort of the zone itself. And on the other side, IPG are still not yet done. IPG will just completely start to dominate and push on the players of FC, and in that doing so have resulted in also dominating against, of course, F5, and Fallen 5 have been sent back into the lobby thanks to a combined effort of these players as well as Bad Intentions. And now Bad Intentions have the opening that they wanted from the other side, remaining us with only 3 teams. We do have FC with 3 players alive right now. They are going to be in the between situation, of course, right now, and in that, IPGX are going to take the better half of that fight, and Bad Intentions combined effort against that team is going to probably obliterate FC, because the way they are positioned, well, they can very well be brutally punished for the same, and that is exactly what the case is. But in doing so, IPG's player Mahfouz YT jumps in to take a fight against the player of Bad Intention, and that has now resulted in Bad Intention being on the receiving end. An absolute behemoth of a play being showcased from the players of IPGX. A combined effort, a synergistic effort is what this team is bringing to the table.
IPG is certainly puncturing the hopes of Bad Intentions to get close with the chicken. It is Shadu that is on the charge in, and the rest of the players getting the flank angle secure. Some players are making a move onto the players, but Stalker is trying to keep the revival, and once all the player gets the revival, it's then where Bad Intentions. So I guess it will be an even fight where both the teams have a lot of experience. It's just the use of utilities and those gunpowder, because both the teams are pretty much phenomenal in the way they take the fight. I'd love to see the fight. Mexican standoff is what I can see. But Dictator brings 2 knock in one spray. Naruto goes down, Soccer goes down, but just over aggressive and does one small mistake. He will be taken down for sure. And all of a sudden, it is going to be all Conquer with the fight are just exploding. Fardin goes down. It is all down to IPG that gets the chicken in this match. What a game. I mean, in the last game also, it was a team that got the second position in this game. Back-to-back consistency is what that they are coming up with. Infernal Parasite GX, 2,417 damage, 3 total points. And look at that, #3, just 2 matches.
Exactly. Third spot already with just 2 games. I mean, Group C and D, this is just a different play that is being showcased from this group. I mean, of all these teams, they are ferocious. They are absolutely ferocious when they go against each other, and that again is just not stopping. 2 games done, and this is what the stats have been like. So this time around, TRZ Esports were taken down a bit early, but eventually, when it comes to IPGX, I mean, we saw the Infernal Parasites just remaining in that stance. All 4 players, just perfect synergy being showcased from them, and eventually, again, were able to bring down the players of Bad Intentions. But again, on the other tangent, talking about Bad Intentions, they had a good game, right? I mean, they had a decent play as well. They were able to get some wonderful kills off themselves as well. So a perfect play being showcased, and thankfully the game did not go on forever, because that was what the anticipation was as I jumped into the game, but it was certainly not the case because the teams were just so destructive. With that, let's move on to the MVP and have a look at the most valuable player.
Indeed, the title goes to Infernal Parasite Dictator, no doubt. He was the one player that got true knock from the sides of Bad Intentions, and then it was all sudden that they were thrown onto the backhand side. Eventually, he tried to take them down, and in that situation, he faltered down. But before going down, he got 6 kills, 991 damage, 25 survival time, 2 assists. Healing done is also pretty much decent, and a complete power pack performance. That's what I get to see from IPG Dictator, and that's what the lad has actually offered to us. It is the consistency we talk about. IPG is the epitome, is the synonymous to it.
Most certainly is. There's no 2 ways about that. As we move on to the top players list, this is where things are going to get that much more hilarious and awesome, of course, because this is where IPG Dictator chimes in along, yes, with the damage that he has been able to dish out, but alongside that, it is just BIT and IPG who are absolutely reigning supreme. But alongside all of it, absolutely fair and square is going to be K6 Miramar as well, with the 5 kills and 595 damage. So amazing stats from these lads.
Indeed, it is. Bad Intentions. Winter also getting close towards the top player list, but doesn't get so, as he also had a one good time. But with this, it seems that we are heading towards the summary for this time, where we will getting to see what sort of thing actually was thrown up to us. It was IPG's lot of flair. Mahfouz, Dictator again in the highest damage and 301 longest distance skill. That means IPG was not only indulged in the close range fight, they were also indulged in the long to mid-range fight, and just because of that, we got to see a high fragging game. But then it was Sanhok that got that maximum assist. The name really resembles, the name really echoes with the way Sanhok is actually playing.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the lad who was able to, of course, push on alongside the players of Thundercloud, and then also pushed on along the players of TRZ Esports. So an amazing play from the side of Sanhok of KSXXP. But eventually, as the games progress on along, one thing is for certain. The teams right here who are playing, we can genuinely expect a lot of them to be a part of the first page itself, because I mean, the way IPG's right now played, they find themselves already on the 3rd spot, and they still have 2 games remaining, so very easily can actually topple over the first position holder. That's going to be none other than GR Esports.
Indeed, that's going to be the case. We have to still wait for that, as 2 matches are still left for the day. As you perfectly mentioned, this is also one of the thing, but for the moment it seems that we are heading towards some different thing, and it is going to be the overall, and we're still waiting for that. We'll get to see after that, but match ranking is the first thing that we get to see, as we're getting to see that which team got what sort of point tables. And for the time, it is going to be Infernal Parasite, and we just got to see a high fragging match, 13 total kills, and not far behind it is going to be Bad Intentions with a total of 12 kills. I mean, really closing things apart.
Well, that is so very true indeed. Quite a Crazy approach was showcased from these teams, and eventually in doing so, what a phenomenal point structure they've been able to create for themselves. Right here we do of course have Fallen 5 as well. I mean, they worked towards those placement points and that worked out absolutely perfectly in their favor. And as the game progressed on along, of course we did see a few of these teams that were well sent back into the lobby a bit too early, but nevertheless they were part of that kill department. As you move on to the next page, now this is where so many of the teams were not allowed to actually even participate in any of those fights or take those kills, because if well, they were just completely hunkered down from Thundercloud to Eccentric to Phantom for You. It was just not the kind of play that they wanted, I'm sure. But of course, this is just day number one. This is just their first game, of course. This is going to be their day number one, second game completed. So, of course, things can be expected to go on a different role as the journey progresses in the PMCO. With that, let's have a look at the Oppo F19 Pro moments. That is going to be summarizing, see all these amazing, miraculous fights that were took.
Brings the memory afresh, and that's where we got to see the fight actually erupting between Phantom, and both the team actually lost a lot of things. I mean, numbers advantage was down, the players were going down, times was also a lot of being lost in these all situations. I was really not able to understand what sort of approach both the teams was going on, but in all these situations, both the team really had a bad state of affairs in all these situations. Atomic and White Cat, also that McLaren being burst down and a good spray coming in from side of KS and X, and there was a team that actually not let their fort being breached, but because if the fourth player could have stand closer towards them, that could have certainly be a chance. And before that happens, it was KSX that did see it coming in, and before that they just eliminated. And then it was IPG last players that was taking the fight, and then Bad Intentions slowly and steadily they were taken care of.
Well, what a play, of course, that was showcased, and it was Dictator's push that made it so for the side of IPGX. But eventually, as we move on to the overall ranking, this is where we clearly see 2 games, and IPG find themselves on the 3rd spot with 50 points already. I mean, they need just 3 more points to cross over Martyrs Epsilon, and they've got 2 games left. So that's, of course, the child's play for this team. But eventually, as the conversation moves on down through the list, it is going to be Bad Intentions who find themselves on the 8th spot this time around. And again, the kind of play that was showcased from the side of TRZ Esports, TRZ has been brought down to the 2nd page from the looks of it.
Indeed, it is going to be the case. Bad Intentions slowly and steadily, and it is going to be the Bad Intention that has actually overpowered them and has trespassed them. By the looks of it, it seems that because the point difference between them and the team that actually slipped on the second half of the chart is now getting pretty much big in terms of what they are securing is significant enough, but still a lot of game left. Just halfway we are down to the line, because all of us know the 4 games for the day, halfway down the line, Erangel and Miramar done. Sanhok is going to be the next one, and in that I guess most of the team will be trying to make a maneuver. But I'm really waiting the observers to actually produce the 2nd page of the list, where we get to see 19 to 16 teams. Gremlin Storms looking at the strong at this moment. TRZ Esports, just the 2 matches, and they are looking strong. 15 kills is what they are standing at this moment, and Fallen 5 Esports also making a close in with just the 4 kills. So some teams are really relying upon the kills, some teams are going for the placement points. Fallen 5 Esports being one of them.
Absolutely, and as the journey progresses on towards the 3rd page of this overall ranking, we shall have a look at how sort of a play has been created in the 2 games that these teams have made. And this is looking close. Again, this is looking very close. From the 17th position, starting off at 13 points, to 24th position, sitting at 9 points. So very much doable. Of course, one game that could and will most certainly be changing a lot of placements for these teams. But in all of that, it is still going to be a lot more that can be anticipated from the teams that are sitting at the 4th page of this overall ranking, and those are the teams that do massively need to find a bit of a play that they can make to be able to create a game for themselves. Because right here we can see Thundercloud, that is on the 32nd position. Final Touch did not even participate, or were not sadly able to chime in along into the 2nd game. Thus it says only 1 game that they've been able to play and get that 2 points. So a lot more is what they will have to showcase to be a part of this entire saga.
A huge opportunity, I would say, because it was Phantom Esports that I just got notice of it. It was 8 total kill points, 1 placement points, a total of 9. I mean, they have a lot of opportunity to actually get past. I mean, if they are taking the fight in the last game also, if I try to bring the reminiscent and try to make you remember, it was a fight, the elongated fight, where they lost the momentum, and then the last first hit, as you mentioned while we were casting, that actually took a huge toll, and then it was not an easy affair for them to find themselves away and actually go away from that situation. And just because of that, it was them faltering down. Thundercloud on the other hand side, it has been stud matches for them. I mean, they really haven't shined upon. They really haven't been the touch. Thundercloud looked to take up the fight in both the games of Erangel and Miramar, but somewhere down the line, it seemed that their gun power certainly lagged at points.
They most certainly did. Most certainly did. But again, there are 2 games that they've played, 2 more games. I mean, this is them getting introduced to the teams that are part of the lobby. This is them getting introduced to what sort of a play style can they expect from the lobby. And of course, this being just their first day when it comes to PMCO 2021, it is going to be, of course, an opportunity that they will hopefully, as the days progress on along, be able to convert into their own favor. But it is not, I mean, it's easier said than done, right? There's no two ways about it. But hope is what I can actually say. And predict as well, because we have seen that happen earlier as well, when teams are sitting at the low half of the bottom of the totem pole, so to say, and then slowly and steadily they start understanding the teams they're playing against, and they find their rhythm to it, right? So that is something that can be anticipated and hoped that they will make a comeback.
Just hope for it. I mean, buddy, hope for it. I mean, certain teams look pretty strong. I'm just talking about Phantom Esports, because you tried to make a point about comeback. It's where Phantom Esports can make a comeback.
Oh, yes.
They are taking the fight. The gun power is, I mean, it's decent one. They are taking the fight. 8 kills, still standing with just 1 placement point. It's just placement point where they are lacking, and it's where they actually need to work upon and trying to recalibrate and trying to think what are the wrongs. For this moment, I guess in the last fight, they should have fallen back. And in both the matches, the Erangel and Miramar, we got to see the team was stuck in the blues. So out of the blues, they need to take the fight. Out in the safe zone is where they need to fight themselves and go for the safe rotation.
Absolutely. And again, with that, we've got 2 games done. 2 more games do remain. But right now, we're going to go on a very, very short little break. Stick around. We're going to be right back with match number 3.
Here we go now.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? Kicking up the dust,
Hello and welcome once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open 2021. This is the Bangladesh region. Day number 2 is where we're at, and in that doing so, we've got 2 games done, and now it is time to jump into the arena with third game of the day, which of course is going to be on Sanhok. And in that, it is a very aggressive stances, hoping.
Exactly.
Because again, the teams, the way that Group C and D have been playing, have been absolutely phenomenal, and the points that they've been able to accumulate one after the other game has been absolutely destructive to Group A and B. And I can only, say that when it comes to the performance that, of course, IPG right now showcased, it is probable that this team will be moving on to the top of the leaderboard by the end of the day.
That's the question. That's the question.
Yep.
Will it be enough for God's Reborn that have secured 69 total points after end of 4 matches that they played yesterday? True. But since the threshold is there, the point is there, the target is there. IPG only need to achieve the target. In these 2 matches, they have done pretty well.
Exactly.
Getting a 1 chicken in the last game and 1 second finish. They are looking pretty much consistent. One more game as they had in that Miramar or even Erangel. That can certainly happen because Erangel is a strong suit. We have seen in the past this team really progresses along when they play the game of Erangel, but certainly next game is being of the Sanhok, so we need to talk about Sanhok. Talking about Sanhok, there are 3 different islands. I mean, Alpha, Bravo and Charlie. Right. Some teams really love to go towards the area of Camp Alpha, but somewhere down the line, in yesterday's game, we saw certain cities were left barren. It was Camp Bravo, it was Camp Charlie. Since A and B didn't really show any sort of interest, I would say, in going to the same area. Is that going to be today again? Because these are the cities, the big cities that offer you a lot of loot. These are the extreme positions. I mean, certainly down the line, if you are to travel to Camp Bravo, just imagine, the Camp Charlie is completely away. If you need to travel to Camp Bravo, the Camp Charlie, the Camp Bravo is on the extreme position, a long rotation. And just because of that, maybe the team might have not gone for that. But all the questions will be answered once we head towards in the game of Sanhok. That is just showing on the bottom of the screen. That is going to Sanhok, the lush green atmosphere that it shows. The tropical rainforest, I mean, the snaking action. I mean, we have seen a lot of ruckus that was created. Eventually, yesterday's day started off on a passive way, but once Sanhok came into action, it was when the match actually started exploding. And just because of that, it is going to be us who are taking the charge of it.
Well, that is so very true indeed, Ankit, and this has resulted in this game absolutely starting off with a perfect spray, because the flight path is going to be dissecting the map in 2 equal halves, thus allowing the teams to go on and have a perfect approach to whatever side of the map they want to be dropping down towards. And in that, as we try and get this game moving on along, we do of course have ATR, that's going to be Exitron Red Army, going on down towards the dock from the looks of it. On the other tangent, when we move on down towards the front, the northern side, we also do have the team of FC, who are going to be, of course, moving on comfortably towards the region of Khao. So for now, the teams are looking absolutely perfect. But again, when it comes to the contestation, the early contestations, that is where I am keeping my eyes gauged out towards, and it is going to be Painan and TRZ. Wow, talk about TRZ and their approach. I mean, they are absolutely spread out throughout the map. It seems like the team has had a falling out and they're just not talking to each other.
Might be the case, but certainly the fight has erupted onto the Docks Island. And in yesterday's game, I talked about in the pre-game segment, these extreme corners, these Mong Nai's Camp Bravo, still barren, but certainly some team have showed now interest to go down towards the area of Cave and Docks, where it is going to be LO, that is of Limit Over, crossing their angle against ATR, that is going to be of Exitron Red Army. Certainly look good at the moment, but one team, I guess, again has missed the lobby. I have to still wait for that, and it is going to be Final Touch that has now not joined the lobby. Not looking good for them, as we got to see the other teams joining in the fray, joining in the lobby. The players are looking pretty much strong at the moment. As soon as they get towards there, it is going to be the Camp Bravo Island, but no, it is going to be the Painan City of Contestation, where KSX making their move on to the player of Bad Intentions. Bad Intentions is a team that really got themselves on the #2 positions, getting a lot of kill. Eventually it was 11, if I'm not wrong. 11 or 12 is where the kill number stood at that position. This time Painan, two different sort of compounds, just separated by one narrow stream. I mean, this is going to be tough for KSX.
This most certainly looks to be the case, but eventually when you talk about the play that is going to be made, KSX as well as Bad Intentions, both are very, very skilled teams. And when it comes to the fights itself, both the teams actually know exactly how to take the fights and how to get themselves acclimated to whatever position they find themselves in. And that is what is going to probably be favoring the way that these teams are going to be pushing on along against each other. The fight has finally started off, and it is going to be none other than Bad Intentions who have taken Demon down from the side of KSX. And in that doing so, it is going to be Bad Intentions who will try and push along, but it is of course Sanhok who has a perfect approach. On top of that, well, as soon as he dropped down, he has given away Naruto the opportunity to push on alongside the flank angle and will certainly be terrorizing the team of KSX. But we shall have to see if that will be the case or not. But as the game progresses on along, as of now, this is going to be absolutely perfect play, because indeed Bad Intentions have also been taking a knock for themselves. Bad Intentions Winter finally gets another player that's going to be Demon as well, and as the conversation moves on along, KSX have already got 3 of their players down. This is not looking good, with only one final player remaining, that's going to be Ifti. What exactly is he going to be bringing to the table to be able to compromise this entire approach? Bad Intentions player Naruto is down, but of course the revival will be made, and eventually when it comes down to the play that has been created from the side of Naruto and the likes, Winter and the likes, is absolutely working perfectly in this team's favor. Have not lost even a single soul for themselves, but on the other tangent, have given a lot of damage to the players of KSX. So talk about domination. Winter, annihilation is what he's been bringing, with 3 kills already confirmed for himself and just 1 final player remaining from the side of KSX. That is going to be Ifti.
Exactly. Winter onto the charge slowly and steadily. And I told you it is going to be a tough affair for KSX to survive on this onslaught situation. And now the poor guy, Ifti, I really feel pitiable for him side, because the 2 game has certainly not gone his favor. They are standing on the 3rd half of the chart with points still not in the double digit get converted. And in the early stage of the game, 3 players getting lost, with Demon falling down, Mehraz falling down, Sanhok's falling down again and again. I at least expected Sanhok, the X factor, as you mentioned in the last game. This guy really showed the prowess, the intent to keep in the fight, apart from all the 3 and 4 teammates that they have in their teams. But certainly this is going to be the sad state of affairs, as now he is not left with any other option than to run away in all these situations. And this is the reason that they are hunting him down, as now Bad Intentions Winter, and it seems that now Winter is on the charge, and Winter is looking to take everyone down, at least clear its own proximity. And Painan has been successfully covered by Bad Intentions and conquered, is what I really wanted to say. But Bad Intentions is looking short at the moment. But in the area of boot camp, it is gonna be Phantom. Phantom is also one of the team that is looking strong at this moment at the area of boot camp that are controlling. And since TRZ's players have now positioned themselves, it is a thing that TRZ need to find themselves in the rotation. And the option still remains whether they go on for the extreme rotations, but for the looks of it, it seems that maybe they may take the Hatton Bridge and then traverse towards Camp Bravo Island. But look at this thundercloud. The emotes are being thrown.
Having a fun time. Having a fun time is what this is. Absolutely perfect. TC, Thundercloud know how to enjoy a game. This is just absolute perfect. You need moments like this. And this is where, of course, Paradise Resort is theirs. And that is what you do exactly when you're at the resort. You just chill around and absolutely have a gala fun time. And that is exactly what the team of Thundercloud is showcasing us with these perfectly set up emotes and positions that they've been able to create for themselves.
I wanted it more. I really wanted it more. But this is the lush green atmosphere, the ecosystem that is offered by this beautiful Sanhok. We get to see the Camp Alpha Bravo, and there we go again, one more time. But no, observers are pretty much jealous of us.
Well, again, there's only so much of dancing approach that can be showcased when it comes down to PUBG Mobile, because after all, the action is in the fight. And when it comes to the fight, well, again, it could very well be a fight against the blue zone itself, and that is what, of course, Fallen 5's daddy is going to be facing for the moment, as the zone is almost 600 meters away. And he, of course, for the moment is not looking too good. And as he makes that rotation, it is going to be Eccentric that is probably going to be finding daddy in the open, and will probably and hopefully should be able to actually convert this into a kill, but they're not. Both of them are not. Daddy also, of course, should have been able to spot that player, but did not decide to and take that knock. And eventually it is Eccentric who will take that kill and will, of course, be converting that into the first point for themselves in this game.
Indeed, this Eccentric looking strong at this moment, and the players are pretty much in the blues. And since they have gotten one knock getting secured in the kill, that's where the 1 point is awarded to you, and that we talk about most often. And Eccentric is certainly very much looking good at this moment in terms of the kill that is secured in the 7 minute 30 seconds of the game, and the rest of the teammates are also looking slowly and steadily to go over. Limit Over is the team that we have on our TV screens for the moment. Igniter, unfortunate moment is where he has been stuck for the time, and that's where he has been sent to the lobby with Blaze and Siam and Nitrogen coming into the fray. It is going to be a tough affair for Nitrogen. The other teams should push against Nitrogen, but for the moment the question still remains, where is going to be the circle forming up, because same sort of circle we have seen multiple times, and this time it is the time where circle will still forming with the close to boot camp as its center, and the radius around the circumference is where the circle will be forming. And in that doing so, TRZ will now have to make a decision. They are still in a dilemma. If we have to look at the stand, they're still in a dilemma whether circle might come towards the camp alpha, but from my side it seems that that is gonna be lost case.
It most certainly could be, because after all, when it comes to the proportion of it, most of it is on the main island itself. But on the other tangent, talking about KSP's final player, Ifti, he has been stuck on that same exact spot for quite some time. So for now, he's not even wanting to move. And again, when it comes to his positioning, can completely understand, because after all, his teammates have been faltered down and he's the only final player surviving. And as long as there's no other team around him, to contest that area, it is going to be his slow low-key approach. But on the other tangent, talk about slow low-key approach, it is Eccentric running in the open, and it will certainly be well punished for that. No two ways about it. They have to be punished for that.
Slapped.
And it is Fallen 5 who get that knock and kill confirmed for themselves. And now Eccentric find themselves in a bit of a tricky affair where all the players were running pretty much simultaneously together, have given away the information, and this is where things can get absolutely dismal for this team.
Boom, but no damage, and that's what I expect. The ruckus is what all I need. The chaos is what all I need, and just because of that, it is Zeus OP from Fallen 5 Esports that is making strong. But I guess they should have waited patiently. I'm talking about Fallen 5 for next 5 or 6 seconds, just in order to come close all of the players, and that could have been the moment where they could have gotten more and more kills from the sides. But for the moment, it is gonna be the players of Eccentric Infinity that are going for the flank angle. Some players have actually dropped down and are in the waters, and is this a good move? Is this a good move? That's the question, because what I can see from the looks of it is that Fallen 5 are in a complete fan out approach. Some players are holding the important ridge, important cliff. I'm talking about Lune's position, and from that position he is gathering a lot of info. From there he's getting to see all the players that are holding behind these destructive cubes, and some players which have actually fallen themselves into the oceans, into the streams, they are also being spotted down. That means they have got their locations revealed, and more importantly, Loki and other teammates, they have some good characters. I really like the hairstyle, but certainly the helmet is not on.
Well, again, there's absolutely nothing that is left for Loki right now. And eventually, again, in terms of the utilities, in terms of the health kits, there's absolutely bandages, absolutely nothing whatsoever working in his favor. But on the other tangent, you have to commend the players of Fallen 5. They are also outside the zone, but they are just kill hungry. They're just waiting patiently because they know that there is a team right here, and they do not want to let go of that team, and do not want to let go of those kills. And on the other tangent, it is now sadly Eccentric, being so very greedy, have been punished from the side of ATR, and Sweet Love is the one bringing in that lovely perfect spray and taking down the players. This is what is the game of PUBG.
Indeed, it is a lot of third-party situation. I mean, this was preempted. This was bound to happen. Any fight that gets elongated for more than 5 or 6 minutes, it is an invitation. It's a sheer invitation, a sweet invitation for each one in the lobby to actually jump to the spot and just get the better half of it. And this time, it is going to be Obviously, the Exitron Red Army, the players are slowly and steadily moving in. With that one gal getting secured, look how quickly and wisely they have now moved towards some different directions.
Absolutely, and that is something that, of course, these players are working towards to get those kills confirmed for themselves. Eccentric as well as Fallen 5. Zeus right here maintain that position for a long time, but for how long we will have to see as they are outside the zone, inside the arena itself. To talk about the circle, we still do have Ifti maintaining that exact same position, even though he is now being surrounded by another team in towards the boot camp itself. But of course, the circle is the zone, of course, is going to be once again shifting, and that will be working in perfect synchronized favor for so many of these teams. The only few who find themselves outside is going to be IPGX, who are going to be making that rotation, along with which TRZ's players are also providing the exact same factor. Now, Eccentric finally have decided to make a perfect spray and move on along to get into the zone, but that is not going to be allowed because Zeus right here is absolutely prepared, and a nade coming in is not going to allow him to get any of those kills confirmed. What a play. Alcoholic, just the perfect approach. I mean, that was just the way that it needed to be played out, because it was just almost like a bait that Loki created for Zeus. And finally, when the Zeus took the bait, it was, of course, this player, Alcohol right here, who was able to completely bring in that absolute perfect nade. And there we go. Finally, patience has helped this team and has resulted in getting that 2 points for themselves. And now they are going to have to get all the way 800 meters away into the zone.
3 first aid, 20 bandages for Alcohol, and the second player, Loki, he certainly has one first aid that I just noticed. 800 meter, it seems that it is going to be enough since it's the third circle, and it is yet to about to start since the Blues are approaching towards them. But the live rank standings shows that each and every team that has joined earlier in this game and in the early stage of the game are still present in this lobby, with the Eccentric Infinities player now slowly and steadily moving towards the circle. It is going to be a good approach for themselves as they now find themselves not certainly in a good spot, but they will be hoping that they will be making an entry. But on the other hand side, it is going to be Rex that are now punishing the players of a limit over, as they have now gone down, and it seems perfect at this moment for each of the other team. Yep, it is going to be the perfect approach that the teams are coming up to. But limit over, as we just talking about Igniter this moment ago, we saw him being pinned down, and now it is going to be a time where Rex are actually pinning him down. So a team that have actually impressed me in terms of the gunpowder that they actually hold, they have on their back, is the one that has been pinned down and are getting the better half of it. But T-Rex, STFU bot, is making sure that once the player are spotted in the open, dude, just don't make that one mistake one more time to find yourself in the open position, because you have already been spotted down. The crosshair is just hovering around your head. But does Blaze have the slightest of this idea? We have, but it seems limit over players don't have.
Well, Limit Over certainly are in the crosshairs of this player right here, STFU, and STFU is very well equipped to bring in that spray exactly to the point itself. On the other tangent, his teammates are also helping him out to try and get those kills confirmed for themselves. As of now, they do not have a single point in this game, but that, of course, can be said for so many of the teams in the lobby, as we can clearly see with the alive factor being showcased with 0-0-0. That is the kills that they have been able to accumulate, and that is not working in so many of these teams' favor. On the other tangent, talking about a team that has been able to get some kills for themselves is going to be Bad Intentions. With 3 kills confirmed, we are 15 teams. All 15 teams are still part of the lobby, and we are already 15 minutes into the game. So again, when it comes to Sanhok, this is where things are going to get trickier and trickier as we move on down. The circle is going to be restricting more and more, and that is when the teams are going to be forced to take a fight.
Definitely it is, until unless, but in the open, where none of the team have actually made a congestion, the traffic is not available, is where we get to see the circle actually making its way. And in all these situations, it is going to be the Phantom 5 noob that will be getting a safe entry. Rex onto the western side is sitting completely strong at this moment, but Limit Over is also one of the teams that will be getting the better half of the zone shift, and lot of team that will be out of the circle. Some of them we can get to see once we get to see the head of the fight, but apart from that, it is still a passive sort of gameplay where the fights are just kicking in. As soon as I said, it is going to be Alcohol that tried to take the player down, and since he was in the prone position, he brought one more knock, but it seemed that he will be taken care of as he has now been sent to the lobby, and now Zap Canavar is getting a lot of shots from different directions as some of the players have knocked down Eccentric Infinity. Loki, the last player, is surviving. For Eccentric Infinity, the journey for this last 16 minute 27 second has not been an easy one. A lot of impediments, a lot of roadblocks they have faced, but I really wanted both the players to survive, but sadly one player has to go down as he was spotted down. Just imagine the player that was pouring down, had he not given that fire onto the players of Zap Canavar, not only he would have saved himself, but also it would have been a glimmering hope for the rest of the teammates. And now Zap Canavar tries to make an entry into zone and maybe find the last player from Eccentric Infinity, but for the moment it's going to be Final Cut Esports that are finally going into the circle. A 180 meter, an open push. They need to make sure that it's going to be Phantom 4 that is just waiting for them.
It most certainly is Phantom for you that is waiting for them, but as they make that rotation and that push, it is looking absolutely perfectly spread out and could very well work in this team's favor. But Final Cut, are they prepared to bring in the onslaught to the players of Phantom for you is the conversation. For now, the nades are being spread on across, but absolutely not cooked, is going to be resulting in not damage, of course, but a lot of information will be given away on the other tangent. It is Phantom for you who have now taken a shot against the players of of course, this team, and eventually when it comes down to the spray that of course this team was hoping for, Final Cut has not sadly been able to get that delivery done, and with one player dropped, another player sent back into lobby, this team of Final Cut has been brought down to just a two-man squad.
Indeed it is, thanks to the onslaught that has come in from the side of Phantom. And in all these fights, it was one team that just got the better half of it. They were not looking in any position. Final Cut Esports, they didn't use the utilities. They used the utilities when they were pretty much close to where Phantom are actually positioned. And that was not supposed to be the case. In all these situations, it is going to be IPG. The team that got the chicken got eliminated with just 1 point.
Well, that was not anticipated. That was certainly not the kind of result that anyone could have predicted as well. But on the other tangent, we are still remain with 13 teams alive, 18 minutes in this game of Sanhok. What a passive approach play is being showcased right here. But the circle is slowly and steadily forcing these teams to take on a fight, as is being showcased from the kill feed itself. The Final Cut has been able to take down another player of Phantom for you, but eventually Final Cut will of course be third-partied, and it was none other than Limitover who will be sending them back into the lobby. And Limitover now take on the reins that Final Cut were trying against the players of Phantom for you, but eventually it is going to be Phantom for you's one final player remaining. That is going to be right here on our screens, HRXOP.
Indeed, HRX is making that X factor from his player and from his teammates, and he really need to play it strong to make a way and headway into the zone, because where he must be heading towards, it's where obviously teams like Bad Intentions are already positioned, and already teams like Rex are already positioned, and in all situations it is not going to be an easy task, as now Exitron, Red Army, Sweet Love, once in a moment ago, a while back, we saw this man down to its knees, and when he is now just on his legs, he is trying to put down the players, but Smokes is what he's deploying for the moment, and it seems that yes, he will be going for the central circle approach, and they have to, because at the end of the day, it is not the amount of damage that the team can actually afford to take onto their body, and just because of that, Sweet Love, just because he was brought down to slow sliver of an HP, he has been taken down, and T-Rex Skeleton are picking and choosing the players and are eliminating, getting one kill by the number. All the situation, Fallen 5 Esports again eliminated.
Well, what a play this is turning out to be. 11 teams still remain, 20 minutes in the game. We are now facing with ATR, who is going to be trying to take on this perfect compound that is in control of course, Zap. But eventually, will Zap Canavar be able to bring in that sort of a restrictive play against this ATR approach, where Error is trying his level best, but eventually it is going to be, again, T-Rex chiming in, and T-Rex slowly but surely are taking in a lot of those kills for themselves, because the compound is working as their perfect defense. On the other tangent, Eccentric players also lose their life, and now it is going to be T-Rex taking on an onslaught to the face of Bad Intentions, where Bad Intentions are also a 4-man strong army, but exactly when they try and make that rotation out in the open is when they will be caught off guard, and it is none other than Senior, who was trying his level best, sadly was not able to bring in a kill, but yes, finally he's been able to allow and do that, and Winter will be lost to the cause, and T-Rex will get that kill. So eventually, when it comes down to T-Rex, a wonderful spray of aggression is being showcased from this team.
Not only that, it is going to be Phantoms, other player that are making sure that bad intentions will be going down. As soon as that happens, it is going to be Phantom Esports, obviously Stickly, that will be taking down bad intentions, Stalker, and it seems that there is not much that bad intentions could have done because Circle just tended to go away, and it was a parallel rotation between them, and obviously one team that was finding themselves in the compound, and that was of T-Rex that started chiming upon them, and all of these sudden it is the demise for bad intentions as the last player was taken care of, and he has been sent to the lobby, and all of a sudden it was Zap Canaver that was also trying to make a rotation with the help of that vehicle, and just because of that, Sedative has fallen down. That was last player surviving, and with the end of Sedative, it was the end of the complete team in this game of Sanhok. Again, not a match that the fans and the players would have expected, but on all these situations, it is going to be limit over Siam getting 3 kills, but T-Rex, the place where they are pushing themselves, it's a place where they will be finding a lot of team, and just because of that, Blaze has been spotted down, not knocked down. What a spray coming in, what a spotting level coming in from the sides of T-Rex Skeleton, and it is Senior this time, and Siam also charging in, and he has lobbied the grenade onto his own teammate. Okay, this is not looking good for them. I mean, you can really go all haywire, but just this is not the one thing that you want to be. Man, this should be the last thing on your priority list, not even on the last.
Exactly, with that 4 teams remaining, we've got, of course, Python Esports' Shuvo right here, and right across him is going to be Rex, T-Rex's player, but T-Rex's Senior knows exactly where that player, final player from the side of Python is. He did get a perfectly set up nade, but eventually the tree certainly seemed to have helped Python Esports' Shuvo and was not able to bring in a damage. Also, on the other tangent, talking about the teams that are alive, we do have TC, Thunder Cloud, the team that was bringing in those emotes when they were in the Paradise, are still surviving with all 4 players looking absolutely strong and awesome, and this could be a fight that they could very well convert for themselves, but will that be allowed? Because in between there is still limit over.
Indeed it is, and in all the situation it is going to be one team that is surviving in the middle, but it seems that it is going to be a day end for most of the team as RVs. We are heading toward the last stage of the game, and it is T-Rex Senior that is punishing the player from the backhand side, but Sam takes everything in his charge and says no to the opponent team. But Thundercloud, it is going to be surprise Evi, pretty much close where LO team. The limit over is position. Nitrogen gets 1 kill from the sides of limit over with that 1 grenade kill with some utilities that is still being used, but it is not going to be an easy task, and it is going to be 4 players from the sides of Thundercloud, but Thundercloud is making sure that Giss get the chicken dinner because they are pretty much close. They have the numbers advantage, they have the zone, and from the minimap we can get to see the players are in a completely fan out approach with the players getting hold of the important ridges, those rocks. It is pretty much seeing doable for them until and unless they do anything so rookie, so silly that they go down all of a sudden.
Well, that certainly should not happen, as you perfectly did mention that when it comes down to the approach that this team is having. Yep, surprise, will be able to get that perfect spray, and in that doing so, it is going to be Thundercloud's next player who will be able to get another kill. So that means there's only 1 player remaining from the side of limit over, and eventually that final player will be Blaze, but not for long, because he is going to be, well, sent into the lobby again. And what a perfect play this is, where indeed this team that brought those perfect starts, right? I mean, this is a team that was the one that had Paradise in control of them. They were dancing across over there, just absolutely.
It seemed that they already knew that they are going to win the match. I mean, they started
right?
celebrating even before the match actually started.
Wow,
when the sort of celebration in the initial stage of the game you don't get to see. Maybe in the mid stage of the game where the players seem to be more enjoyable, when they are done with the loot, where they are in the compounds and just passing the time, just waiting for the circle to push in, and it's then we get to see these emotes being thrown. But the way they actually took the fight, it showed that they were going for the placement point, and it was just 693 damage and 4-5 last kill that they were able to secure. But each win is a win. At the end, a chicken is a chicken,
Absolutely.
and that will be helping you.
That's so very true indeed. And when it comes to that chicken dinner, of course, the team will be walking away with points, finding themselves in the top 16 is certainly going to be looking good for the side of Thundercloud indeed, and has been, again, a phenomenal approach. I mean, what are the chances that your team jumps into Paradise and there is absolutely no other team to contest, and then you end up just dancing across to enjoy that moment, and before you realize you've actually won the game altogether itself. So again, I mean, talk about the storyline that Thunder has created for us today. Absolutely phenomenal. But with that, as we move on the conversation, let's have a look at the MVP coming in from this game.
Indeed it is, and the title goes to Bad Intentions Winter again this time, and this guy has certainly impressed us in the past. and this time he doesn't fail to impress in the present. 2 assists, 971 damage, 7 kills in a game of Sanhok. This is pretty much, it seems unapproachable, but when it is VANGCHUR from side of bad intention, it seems so much possible.
It certainly is. I mean, VANGCHUR has absolutely always been so on point with the aggressive stances that he's able to create the stats that he's able to showcase, and that clearly is being showcased right here as well with the 2 assists and the 7 kills that he got. He will be the MVP, but along with that, talk about T-Rex's senior. He was the man who was absolutely in control of so many fights, was able to, by himself, as he was the lonesome from the side of T-Rex, was able to gain a lot more kills in the final few moments of the game as well, thus getting himself on the second spot of the top players, followed by Limit Over's Blaze, Limit Over's Cyan, and Limit Over's Nitrogen. So Limit Over, even though they were in the sandwich situation, they were playing their cards right.
I mean, 3 players from Limit Over in the top 4 chart. That shows the domination, that shows the consistency, that shows the influence that Limit Over has brought. And this is also one team that has played it to consistency. But certainly the highest damage goes into the name of Rex Senior, that was coming from that southwestern side, from out of the blues. He was taking a lot of knock. He actually eliminated a lot of players. It was bad intentions that pincered him down, and then it was looking all easy for them until and unless it was other teams that got spotted him and he was eliminated. But till now, till the moment he was taking down, he was looking just impeccable. And talking about that, we need to talk about match ranking, and just because of that, we got to see match 7, day number 2. Limit Over, the team just got the chicken, 25 total points. I mean, the Thundercloud, even if they got the chicken, they are still on the second position. But Limit Over, the kill number is certainly dominating the favor, the placement points is certainly dominating the way they are taking the fight. But the game that actually Thundercloud actually wanted, there we go, we have it for this time for now. But KSX, last game, they were looking strong. The rotations was just spot on, was point on. I mean, everything was looking so strategic. But all of a sudden, they just faltered down.
Exactly, again. So not the consistent approach that they need to be showcasing. KSX not having a consistent play or a consistent day, pretty much is what one can say. But eventually, again, this is just their first day that they are playing the games, and eventually hope that they are able to, I don't know, just perhaps change the playstyle itself, because KSX in history has been very, very good in terms of those fights that they've been a part of and those tournaments that they've showcased some wonderful plays through. But never mind all that history lesson. Let's move on along and have a look at the Oppo F19 Pro moments, where we will, of course, be summarizing all of these fights that started taking place in this game.
And that started things off in this 3-minute early stage of the game, where we got to see player 1 making formation, and it was 3 minutes 30 seconds where the fight actually erupted in the area of Pine, and with bad intentions, VANGCHUR was just charging in, and then we got to see those important moments and these juggernauts being thrown. The players were really looking nice. They were burning the calories, not only with just the playing approach, but they were also dancing, and slowly and steadily. It was eccentric Infinity that was trying to make an entry into zone, but was fallen in trap of a fallen 5 Esports. And then it was, as you mentioned, in that casting duration, that the player was just lured and he just got the better half of himself. And then it was TRZ's player that was pretty much on the receiving end. T-Rex Skeleton coming out from the blues. He took down a lot of player. We got to see lost Limit Over players being pulled down, but then it was Thundercloud that reigned supreme.
It certainly did. I mean, Thundercloud was so very much wanting to get that chicken dinner by the end of it, because they had the numbers advantage working in their favor, along with all the loot that we saw that was theirs for the taking as well. Now, with that, moving on to the overall ranking, we still do have GR Esports maintaining that first position for themselves with that 69 points, but alongside that, Infernal Parasites are now moving to 53, and this my apologies, to the 3rd spot with 51 points. And this is something that, of course, was not anticipated, because just I mentioned it in the previous game as well, that just 2 points shy is what Infernal Parasites are. But sadly, they've not been able to accumulate that, thus find themselves on that 3rd spot. But now they have that one more moment remaining.
TRZ, the team that actually shoved off in the early stage of the game, the lad that actually blasted in the early stage of the game of the Erangel, the first game of this PMCO for them, have now slipped on the 11th position, and certainly not the way they wanted to, but still 1 game left. The lead is not pretty much, 35 is where they're standing, and just the 4-5 point difference is where the last team from the 8th position is standing. A pretty much doable task as far as TRZ's Esports mettle and consistency is concerned, and watch what they are able to do. So talking about all these things, we need to to also talk about teams like Centric Infinity. Team also did falter down, and certain teams like Zap Canavar. Somewhere down the line, Zap Canavar was going for the placement points, did the successful rotation. Kill is where that they are faltering down. Kill number is where the things are haunting them.
It is true. That is so true indeed. But with that, as we move on to the final page of the leaderboard, in that we will see what sort of a play is the other team bringing when it comes to, of course, the one final game that is remaining. We shall have to see that what will be the difference basically from these teams. Phantom for you moving up a lot, and of course right now sticking with those 11 points again are not looking the kind of play that we expect from them. Martyrs 1971, another team that was not expected to be on this page, of course, but have had the opportunity yesterday to showcase the kind of skill that they should have had, and well, have not been able to bring up that sort of a performance. KSX, another team that we do not want to be seeing on this page is what I would say, because this team is absolutely ferocious, but this time around they are not able to actually take those cards into their own. But there's still one more game remaining, and again, as you were mentioning, TRZ, right? They started off absolutely wonderful on first game itself. That was on Erangel, so maybe to close the day on Erangel, TRZ might just come back, right?
I mean, exactly as you just mentioned. I just forgot about that last game because with Erangel, and since it was TRZ's game, again it can be, and there it is going to be the change of fortune for the rest of the teams as well.
Well, as we wait for those fortunes to change, we are going to go on a short little break. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Here we go now.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? Kicking up the dust, if you
go now.
Hello and welcome to, of course, PUBG Mobile Club Open. We are on, of course, the Bangladesh region 2021. All thanks to Oppo F19 Pro for making this all happen, and hashtag Wook Up Your Fun. With that, well, we've got 3 games done between Group C and D. Amazing plays is being showcased right here. I mean, Infernal Parasites 2, TRZ Esports 2, Bad Intentions. These teams are absolutely decimating one game after the other. Thundercloud unknowingly jumping into the action as well. Limit Over with amazing skills that they were able to get. So, beautiful turnover wins. Let's find out what the final game has in store for us.
Exactly, and as you mentioned, I will strictly have my eyes set up on TRZ's performance, because this team actually started the days off with a lot of explosion. In the one fun game that they played, they were straight on the hashtag 8th position, and then we have seen the drop. A drop that really we didn't preempt, the drop that really players didn't preempt, they really didn't want, but that's what the randomness game brings in, and because of that, they are getting to see the flight path already on its way from the area of Lipovka, northern side, and jumping towards that western side of the map. Complete split on 50-50 mark, but the question still remains, since TRZ go towards the area of Primorsk and also to some different areas, it is going to be an easy task, but because we have seen somewhere down the line, they have gone down towards the area of Yasnaya Polyana in the past, and since Yasnaya Polyana is pretty much rideable, but it seems that they will be finding their safe haven into Primorsk itself.
Well, for now, that certainly seems to be the case. On the other tangent, we talk about a team that is going to go down towards the side of Milta Power. It is going to be none other than Phantom Storm, and this is looking absolutely perfect because Phantom Esports, the way they are just moving on along with Phantom Storm, General and Shivu and all, they are all together by themselves, and no contestation will be created for them. Bad Intentions find themselves pretty much in the center of the entire map, with School being the one that they have been able to get the vehicle from, and from there they will make in a rotation and a push, because they are a little spread out when it comes down to the approach that they've had when it comes to their drop location. On the other tangent, talk about teams that seem to be going down towards the military base. It is IR that I'm keeping my eyes out towards. IR is going to south of farm, but will they be trying to cross over to get down to the military base? We shall have to keep an eye out towards. On the other tangent, as Ankit was mentioning, TRZ of course are going to be going down towards their known location of Primorsk, and are going to be very comfortable on that. But Georgia Pole is where things are going to get a bit sinister, because we do have a couple of teams actually that are jumping into that arena, and that is where things can get absolutely crazy. And Zap Canaver have gotten themselves in a bit of a disarray when it comes down to the players. They have 2 of their players falling back and 2 of the players actually moving on into the zone itself, and Zap, there we go, we can clearly see, are taking on a fight as well. And the team that is going to be on the receiving end perhaps is going to be eccentric. We shall have to see what team. No, it is actually Limit Over that is on to the receiving end. T-Rex on the other end is also taking a fight.
Oosh. Ouch moment indeed for T-Rex Skeleton, as he will be finished off, and straight off the bat, the confidence that Thundercloud has gained from the last match is what has made them push straight in this Pochinki area. Church is where the fight was actually coming into frame, and T-Rex right off the bat, the Skeleton has been brought down, and it is not looking good for the moment, because at the start of the game, you really want all the players to survive till the last, but without taking the fight, it was a 1v2 affair. The fight was really looking preemptuous, as the players were pretty much in the same vicinity, but as the fight, it seems that is now dissipating, Bulbul and Bishal will be making a flank approach, and they need to make sure that they don't come in the crosshair of Pochinki, as there are multiple compounds, and if they get in the closer proximity, they will be taking down for sure. Thundercloud, Bangala, on the other hand, is looting out different compounds, and is pretty much close to where the purple markers teams are there, and the purple markers eventually directs us to say that it is of the T-Rex team.
Well, again, I mean, talk about Thundercloud and their cheeky play. They jumped into the area, got that kill, and as soon as they found out who they were up against, they completely backtracked out of that situation, and now falling out of that entire area altogether. Of course, they might just take a fight, because for now, of course, just a few initial moments of the game, they are more certainly trying to focus on to get the loot aggregated and sorted for themselves. But the way that they are approaching, well, again, like I was saying, that they are absolutely falling back into the spot itself, and as they do so, T-Rex is going to be the one who have lost their one player. That's going to be blank, and on the other tangent, 3 more players. Of course, that means a 3-man squad for T-Rex are going to be hopefully get as much as they possibly can from this area and then move on along to get that revenge onto the players of Thundercloud. But will they be allowed to do so? We'll have to see as the game progresses on.
Commotion is which in T-Rex are being slapped in the early stage of the game, and just because of that, one player being thrown to the lobby. Blank OH is the one that is suffering all these blunts, because he didn't really know that it is going to be one team that he will be challenged upon. But as soon as he found himself in the situation, he tried to bring that one knock, but was just not enough. But as you just mentioned, it was going to be obviously Thundercloud that really wanted to take the fight. And as soon as they realized that they are up against a team as big as the T-Rex skeleton, I mean, they know what sort of damage that they can be inflicted with. And just because of that, it seems that now Thundercloud have fallen away. But my question still remains, what sort of compound are they going to loot? Is it going to be the school, the Rozhok? I guess these two cities won't be untouched, as the players have their safe haven, the same situation. Maybe those outskirts compound around the same areas, those isolated ones, is where they might find themselves into. But it is going to be PU.YT with STFU bot closer in the area of Pachinki, where they're going for the scouting area. And for the moment, it seems that, yes, Thundercloud has gone towards the northern side of Pachinki, where they have a lot of isolated compound, but still get not a decent loot, but still a loot where you can fight yourself and in which you can win. But Zarki is where Eccentric Infinity has dropped down, and in the closer by vicinity, it is going to be the Northern Georgia Pool, where we have limit over teams presently present, and then it is going to be Georgia Pool. Zap Canover, as you have perfectly spotted down in the early stage of the game. There's one more team that is gonna be of that green color team. I'm still not able to figure it out which team is actually present, but let's talk about the team that is on the military base island. It is going to be obviously Exitron Red Army, Novorapnoy. It is obviously of FC, that is of Final Cut Esports on the military base island. TRZ again finding a safe haven, and these sort of circles actually is where TRZ goes for the late rotation and late approach. And we can see from the looks of it, the player are really enjoying the loot, and as soon as the circle shifts away, even if the circle comes to the lap, that is one thing, but it seems that they will be going for the late rotation onto the other hand side. The northern side around the shooting range and the Yasnaya military mansion shelter, and on the eastern side of the map is completely left barren.
Absolutely. For now, there is absolutely no team that we can see that has dropped or tried to even make a rotation through that region. But there will most certainly be teams as the circle moves on along that will try and make that northern shift and northern rotation itself. That is where Yasnaya might just come into being. But for the moment, it is certainly barren and, of course, lifeless pretty much. But on the other tangent, talking about the team that is of TRZ, they are jumping away. They're jumping onto their vehicles and jumping away out of the area that they were in. And it seems like they are going to be trying to get into the zone from the looks of it. Most of the times, as Ankit was mentioning, we have seen this team try and go for a really, really late rotation whenever they go down towards this Primorsk area, and that is mostly always that they try and do that. But eventually, this time around, it seems like they are going to be preemptive to try and get their vehicle sorted and then get into the zone. Many times, in fact, we've seen such late rotations from this team that they are actually in the blues for quite a long time before they actually even make a rotation. But this time around, it is going to be a different affair. But nevertheless, whatever the play is, their team is looking absolutely destructive and dominating whenever every single game moves on along. This team tries to absolutely be perfect in terms of the approach that they create one fight to the next, but eventually this time around, will that be allowed is what we need to be keeping an eye out towards. On the other tangent, it also almost seemed like there was a bit of a burst damage being coming on. Where exactly was that from? I'm not entirely sure, but we clearly did see that when it came down to the vehicle that TRZ's players were in, there was a bit of a shooting that they had to go through from the left hand side, but we are yet to figure out what that was. I am not entirely sure how that could be, but nevertheless, as we move on along, it is going to be Team IR on our screens with those beautiful looking McLarens and the buggies. They are going to be perfectly getting themselves segregated and looted on across, and having done so, now they find themselves in the vicinity of Python as well as Bad Intentions, and this is a moment where the fights are certainly going to start taking on the other tangent of the map altogether. It is, of course, once again Thundercloud taking on another fight, and again it is going to be Python trying to take the fight all to themselves, and this is a sandwich situation that Team IR have rotated into.
Raka needs to bring at least one knock onto Phantom Esports, else this push is inevitable. They will be pushing for sure, as Phantom Esports, by the looks of it and with the aggression they play, they are going to be certainly pushing, and it seems that my word are certainly coming sure. 3 players completely making a move and realizing the situation. It is going to be Raka that has used that smoke, but Spike goes down, and in all this situation it seems that the vehicles are flying up, and all of a sudden this has become the ruckus, the deathbed for IRS. Slowly and slowly the players are falling on, with players of Phantom Esports charging in. I mean, this is looking so mesmeric for Phantom Esports, but certainly looking devastating for the fans and the players of IR, as one more player is also being peppered down with a lot of bullets, but from smoke, and still not able to take the player down. Storm is completely not knowing the fact that it is going to be one player from the side of IR that was hiding himself, with Shuvo coming in with that 100 HP coming into the favor, but he has fallen down. But for a moment, for the last 10 seconds, it has all been one team into the fight, but in all this situation, it is going to be bad intention that has come in and has eliminated IR. I mean, a lot of team coming in, and obviously the brain freeze moment.
Well, again, you talk about the play that was made from Team IR. The rotation that they made was certainly put in a sandwich situation, and as it became a bait for Python. Now Python, even though they were able to get a little bit of kill department from the side of Team IR, eventually they lose to the cause of bad intention as well. And what a perfect spray and play this has turned out to be. But eventually, when it comes to the approach, it is going to be Phantom that is going to be losing their absolute lives, sadly.
Indeed, but what a third party that Bad Intentions did. I mean, they are famous for this approach. They are infamous, I should rather say, because this is until what the teams actually want to. But now Thundercloud completely unaware of the fact, and since now Bulbul knows it, he tries to switch down with his DP, and realizing the fact that it was one that was approaching towards him, and he was ready to take the close fight, and just because of that, he switched the DP to AKM. But on the other hand side, it is going to be countered. That will be giving the counter fire. All these fights are happening onto the area of Potato Hill, where Bad Intentions really having a stronghold, with counter trying to take one more knock. 6 kill is what Bad Intentions stating at the moment, and counter all of these situations is getting 2 kill. You remember the last game also, it was the area of Painan where they eliminated completely one squad in that game, and it was Winter that time. It is counter this time. That means the players, the lads are stepping up. The contender to be the chicken for this match is certainly going to be the Bad Intentions from my side.
Well, again, that is going to be a conversation for the moment, but eventually we shall see how the circles pan out to be. But for now, as we are just 11.5 minutes in, it is going to be Thundercloud against the side of Bad Intentions. And again, this is a long-range fight that both these teams are trying to get into. Eventually, it has reached into a bit of a stalemate situation, but on the back end, it is going to be the side of Phantom for you. And that team is also around the corner, where Thundercloud could now find themselves in a bit of a tricky affair, if at all. Phantom for you decides to push on to this exact same location. For now, again, like I was just saying, it has turned into a bit of a stalemate situation, where being so far apart from the other opponent team, it is looking like Thundercloud. Bulbul is not wanting to take an opportunity and try and get that kill confirmed for himself, or try and make a push for themselves. They are just being very, very reserved, and that is okay. That is absolutely fine as well, because that is the kind of game style that we've seen Thundercloud play again. So that is nothing to be shying away from. But for now, of course, as we talk about other teams, we do also have a drop coming in, the airdrop, which is going to be compromising of the light machine gun, the LMG MG3, and this is going to, of course, be a perfect spot for a team to take on. And that is, well, from the looks of it, it is going to be a team that will be, of course, driving exactly through towards that region, and it is going to be none other than Final Cut that might just stop and get that loot for themselves.
Indeed, Final Cut Esports pretty much close to where the drop has actually come in, and this may be a situation where they must stop bite down. And yep, the way they are actually stopping down, it seems that they might be going for the drop, but for the moment it is going to be F5, the Fallen 5 Esports that is on the back end side, with TRZ also making a comment. And now it is going to be a tough situation for Zap Canavar, because they are fastly moving and approaching, and they need to make sure that it is going to be big team, Phantom 5 and TRZ, that might gatekeep the situation. But since the marker has turned into that driver's seat, it seems that they are moving slowly and steadily, and the McLaren sound can be surely visible in our ears as soon as possible, seeming that M24 is also coming to action. But it is going to be Potato Hill, where Bad Intentions are still finding themselves in all situations. TRZ Esports that is looking to pin down the players of Phantom 5. On the other side, it is also going to be the Zap Canaver that is making a rotation for the backhand side. So all the situation, TRZ Esports need to save all these vehicles, else it will be too late for them to actually make a rotation. Frex has been spotted on by Mamba. Will Mamba be that X Factor? Will Mamba bring the charm this time? That is still a question.
We shall see if that will be the case or cause or not, but eventually talking about the previous fight that we were a part of, where it was Bad Intentions against Thundercloud. It has been Bad Intentions who has been able to get that first knock onto the players of the TC, and eventually Thundercloud are now being pushed and rushed against the players of Bad Intentions, and Bad Intentions counter and Fardeen, just those perfect nade parade situations that they bring into the table, absolutely going to be decimating the players of TC. But for now, it seems like Counter and Fardeen are being caught off guard based on the smokes that have been created, and that's where their most focus is. Whereas Bulbul, the way he's placed himself, is just not being spotted and has not really gotten even a little bit of damage for now.
Vintage should actually pop one grenade at least, because the smoke cloud actually offers that grenade into it, but Thundercloud are now retaliating its own way as Bad Intentions. One player, it seems, that has fallen down, and yes, that green marker has turned on to white on the right side of the screen. That means the player has been brought down, and now one more knock from Bad Intention, and this time it is going to be Eccentric Infinity from different direction. That means third party is just not stopping in this area of Potato Hill.
Wow, what a play this has turned out to be. I mean, Bad Intentions, the way we expected that team to be able to just push on and rush on alongside the players of Thundercloud has not been the case indeed, and it has gone away from them, and now it is going to be, of course, up to the players Counter that is going to be right here to bring up his teammate and get that revival, and hopefully even take a fight if they will be allowed to do so. Eccentric making a rotation from that same exact region, but will Eccentric be stopping to take a fight against the players of Thundercloud or Bad Intention? No, they will not. And Thundercloud is very happy. No, they are going to actually... I was just about to say that Thundercloud is very happy because they are not spraying, but it seems like Vishal certainly did not like that and was trying to bring in a little bit more of a damage spray control over to that team, but eventually was not able to get any kill confirmed. But Winter has given away information to Winter, and Winter is now tripped in. Of course, that head has been popped, but eventually it will be the demise of Vishal, where he will be not looking too good.
Bulbul goes down, and it's all up to Vishal that is looking to take the fight. He is holding the tree trunk, but Bulbul had really wanted some really valiant effort. He was slowly and steadily and precisely found himself in that position, but Winter takes down Vishal, and Winter of Counter comes in to get that kill secured. With one player being left, Bad Intentions are on a charge, are on a hunt, and after all these reduction of the numbers of the players that they are trying to do so, they have to travel 366 meters, and taking consideration into the zone that it is also going to be the 12 teams, and that means that 10 kills is what Bad Intention starts at the moment. In just a matter of 16 seconds, I guess 2 teams is where at this place they have eliminated.
True.
And it is a case where even if they falter down in the placement points, 10 total points at least they would be taking from this match.
Wow, that's just bonkers to even think about that in 16 minutes, where other teams have not really been able to get a kill for themselves, or the teams
Not
who
even
were
a
able to
kill.
get... Exactly, the teams who
No
were
one.
able to get the kill have already been sent back to the lobby, and so finally the IPG is the team that gets started off with their first kill of the moment, and it is Bad Intentions who already are sitting on 10 kills. So amazing play, and showcased perfectly from the spray control that Bad Intentions have. On the other side now, as the game progresses on, we've got 12
Pick one
teams
McLaren.
remaining,
White or
and
blue?
it is going to be the white one, dude.
White.
It is going to be the
Okay,
white one,
same,
yep.
same.
It's just the perfect looking thing, and of course the Tesla right next to it is an amazing electric Fiat, perfect, you know, natural, whatever,
Technology, yep.
environmentally, yeah. But eventually when it comes to the beauty of it, it has to be the McLaren, and as this team makes that rotation through the McLaren and the Teslas, they are going to find themselves exactly very close to limit over.
Definitely limit over onto a back foot inside, because they are now being peppered down, and Exitron Red Army, if they take the fight, they really need to wrap it quick, because if they don't, they will be taken care of, because they are on the edge of the circle, and most players must be eyeing upon the situation. There is not a lot of cover. If we just talk about the situation where Maxless is just trying to take the fight from, they really do have those Teslas and McLarens to actually get the cover from, but before that they actually need to burst, and if they do, then their movement will be restricted. But for the moment, it is going to be after peppering some of the shots, they will be moving in on and on in the circle, as now Bad Intentions Counter is trying to take the fight with helmeting more and more players from sides of Eccentric, Infinity. With all situation, it is going to be TCES that is also facing the brunt of all the situation, and they will be sent to the lobby. And we are heading towards this 18th, 19th minute to be more precise of this match, where we still have 11 teams alive and 40 players in the lobby. This is going to be hell of a match where the complete circle is found in the open, where we don't have a lot of compound. It's just the isolated compound here or there, and that compound is so susceptible because it's just the ground floor, and that offers a multiple window, invites utilities if used to perfection. That can be a graveyard for them.
Well, and all of that, bad intentions have been lost to the cause with 12 kills to them. Amazing play amazing turn of events for them eventually. But as you move on along, 10 teams remaining. Limit over, trying their level best to get a little bit of a kill started for themselves, but as of now have not been able to do so. Find themselves almost 150 200 meters away from the zone, but there are so many teams around them that making the rotation also is not really going to be that easy. As of now, they are in the compound, and the house is certainly going to be favoring them in terms of defense, but as soon as they get away and outside, that is when things are going to get tricky, because we can clearly see ATR is sitting on top of that hill just waiting for Limit Over to just get out, and as soon as they do, that is when ATR is certainly going to be absolutely creating ruckus for Limit Over, and that is the conversation between those two teams. But on the other tangent, as the game progresses on along, it is going to be Final Cut right here, who are going to be maybe bringing in a little bit of damage towards Eccentric's rotation. They have decided to do so, yes, a little though.
Need to, because in order to get more and more points, in order to absurd their domination, this is the way to actually find themselves. But Eccentric Infinity is certainly not in a spot at this moment. With the grenades are being lobbed onto the players of Eccentric, it is gonna be Terror that is holding that extreme angle for the moment, and it is not looking good for them. Also, it is going to be Zap Canaver, two players being knocked off, sedative frags going down. That means a player needs the revival for sure, but Eccentric Infinity, the player are in a split situation. Terror can give a good advantage of from where he's actually positioned, but from the backside we can see some raining grenade is already on its way, but he is just waiting passively onto the same angle, not giving an inch of sound cue, not giving a hint of sound clue for Zap Canaver. If he does, he will be taken care of, but it is gonna be obviously TRZ Esports on the northeastern side of this minimap. There we can get to see they are taking up the fight, where we can get to see they are indulging themselves into all these fights. But Zap Canaver, now the player have gotten the revival, but certainly they haven't got any kill in this match for sure. But TRZ Esports, they have been spotted on by Zap Canaver, and this is a good opportunity to actually pin down the player until and unless the circle tends to go away from them side, and then they go for the push.
That was quick. That was quick reaction coming in from TRZ's players. I mean, it almost seemed like Sedative will be able to bring on their players down, but wow, another amazing turn of events for TRZ. Their point is so accurate, and they were able to bring down Sedative almost down to 10 HP health. But along with that, Sedative's teammate is going to be helping him and punishing TRZ for doing so. And in doing that, it is none other than TRZ's Mamba who has been affected with this spray, and Viz looking absolutely abysmal when it comes down to these shots that he's taken. But eventually, of course, the kill for him sadly has not been confirmed yet. Even though players have been certainly brought down, it is Atomic who is still remaining alive, and along with him seems like Rare FPS is also going to be right there to try and give that cover. But eventually the smoke is all that is helping them, and Viz is just not stopping with this barrage.
All these situation, IPG Mehfooz goes down thanks to the onslaught that is coming from the side of Blues, not for the players, but all of a sudden Viz, that was giving a lot of knock, has been taken care of from the right side. That means a lot of respite for TRZ Esports. This is a good news for TRZ's fans and everyone that is just watching. But in all situations, it is Sedative that is still holding that shack. It's just a 20 meter that he needs to find an entry into zone. But obviously TRZ Esports, Mamba comes into action as he takes on one more knock. IPG's player going down. All of a sudden, they have not only regrouped, they have also find themselves in a spot where they are taking the fight. Not only taking the fight, they are getting those safe knocks.
They are getting those safe knocks and getting those kills as well. With that, of course, Atomic we saw just bringing down the players of FS as well. And F5, what a play this is turning out to be, where indeed Final Cut also trying their level best, have been able to accumulate 6 kills for themselves, but KSX Axe are still a part of this fight. 3 kills confirmed for themselves as of now. IPG's Mehfooz YT goes down sadly to the play zone. With that, we've got 8 teams still
They are
remaining.
rushing.
And now, when it comes to the play zone itself, it is getting smaller and smaller.
They are rushing. They are certainly rushing onto Zap Carnival as they are looking pretty much dominant at this moment. Infernal Parasite has been thrown to the lobby as they makes an exit with just 3 kills at the 8th position. But Mad Cat is really mad. He's really angry. He's really furious because a moment ago it was Zap Carnival that was really pinning them down. But he needs to make sure that he doesn't over-aggress. The grenades are being used to perfection as we get to see the Teslas and those machineries are just being moved inch and inch. But in all this situation, it is going to be TRZ Esports that will be getting the edge of the circle, and also 4 kills where they're standing at the moment. But Tommy goes down. Thanks for the onslaught that is coming in, but they still need to make sure that it's got to be the Zap Carnival that is still strong in the backhand side. As would really want them as soon as they go into zone, they need to wipe out Zap Carnival as soon as possible.
They most certainly do, and they are keeping a very close check on the other teams as well. As TRZ's Mamba, we can clearly see, is trying to keep an eye out towards the rotation that has been showcased from the side of KSX, and KSX are using exactly the same strategy that we've seen TRZ do as well, and so many other teams as well, because they use the vehicle, they get into the zone, and then the vehicle becomes their cover itself. But for the moment, it is going to be KSX that TRZ are going to be focused down towards. Mad Cat is most certainly going to be combining his efforts with his teammates to bring down the players, and KSX are receiving the brunt of it. They have already got 1 player knocked. Eventually, when it comes down to the play itself, TRZ's Mad Cat is bringing down a lot of players, where Final Cut was brought down to his knees, and not only Final Cut, ATR was also brought down to their knees. Eventually will be sent back to the lobby, thus remaining with only 4 teams alive, and ATR coming TRZ, apologies, coming alive.
Exactly, but Zap Carnival sedative still strong, and I'm surprised the way the teams have actually held strong. It means Zap Carnival also resisting. A grenade has taken down 2 players from the sides of TRZ, and all of a sudden the team that was looking pretty much comfortable in their position has been shut down. 1 more grenade and does the business as Mamba has fallen down. Is it enough? Yes, it is. TRZ's into the lobby. A sad state of affair for TRZ. All in all, what a use of utilities to its perfection. I mean, not only the use, there was just 2-3 grenades that does the business. Not there was 10 grenades or 5 grenades that was used. I mean, every sort of grenade that was used that brought a lot of effect. And now on the other hand side, it is going to be sedative that has again been knocked. I mean, this guy has been knocked down for the 3rd time, I guess.
Well, again, I mean, you have to approach this with a very, very finesse sort of a playstyle, and that is what Zap Carnival are doing. Slowly but surely, they're trying all their level best to try and stay alive, but KSX are not going to allow that. It is going to be Viz who goes down, and this is going to be a moment where, of course, Zap are going to have to be really, really careful. They are going to go into water to try and stay alive, seemingly, but eventually that is not the kind of play that is going to help you. It's just going to... It's like buying time. It's like buying time in a lobby which is already failing you. That is what this team of Zap Carnival are doing for the moment. And KSX, they are just absolutely obliterating slowly but surely all the players that they can come across. And all of this, Eccentric is also sitting around in the corner, in the buggy, just waiting. Just absolutely waiting. And KSX, like I said, I mean, what can they do? What can they do apart from just waiting and waiting and waiting?
They already know that since they have chicken, I mean, I guess the spice has been put on. But Naeem out of the open, he tried to spill the complete round onto the players of Ifty. And since Ifty, whoa, into the savior as there we go, the player getting the camaraderie and bonhomie. But this won't be accepted as KX get this chicken in his own way. It is a chicken that KSX was really waiting for it. The players came in that US just to have a chit chat, but was not resisted by them as they get 10 kills straight. They are onto the 12th position. 1782 damage is what they were able to secure in this match, and also 25 important points.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Ankit. Wasn't this team in the 4th page of the leaderboard? KSX were on the 4th page of the leaderboard. And now, I mean...
Yep.
I remember
you
talking about it,
right.
that
Yes,
KSX should not be here on the 4th page, but wow, what a phenomenal turn of events. And by the end of the day, they find themselves in the top 16. What do you know? So... that is the play style that has been required from these teams, and this time around, I mean, TRZ Esports, the way they played, were looking absolutely ferocious. We saw just moments ago that this team of course, KSX were also absolutely dominated when it came down to the circle and brought in a lot of kills for themselves. And alongside all of this, when it comes down to the play itself, the groups, Group C as well as Group D, made some wonderful, entertaining games is what I would say, combining all the 4 together.
Indeed it is. I mean, what a game it has all been. It's not just is the performance that Group C and D, the upper brackets team that actually started performing, the team that actually is known for, I mean, in this match, talk about Bad Intentions faltered on, IPG faltered on, TRZ faltered on, and rest of the lobby started chiming in. But talking about Bad Intentions, it was certainly where Winter started performing good. 6 kills, 65 damage, 2 assists, 137 dealing done. What a game for Bad Intentions too.
Most certainly has been wonderful turn of events for Winter. Again and again, this dude has been absolutely resilient when it comes down to that. But that's not the only player, right? Because that's the MVP, but there are so many other players that is going to be compromising of the top 5 players. So let's have a look at the top 5 players coming in onto our screens, where we will of course see Winter chiming in along with all of that wonderfulness. But Atomic from TRZ Esports is going to be chiming in with the 3 kills along with the 667 damage.
And Atomic comes in to join the next 3 kills, 67 damage. I mean, this is a guy that never fails to impress us. Be it be him, be it be his own friend Mamba, or maybe STFU, or maybe White Kite. Everyone is just phenomenal to watch, and each and every player were looking strong at this moment until they were being pulled down by Zap Carnivore. But IPG Dictator with the longest kill, 303 meters. This was also a team that had really tough time fighting in the Blues, because remember, 2 players were pulled down by that Blues and they were going for the late rotations. I just don't understand what sort of gameplay that they started at, but this game they really had a lot of roadblocks.
They certainly did, mate, and that is of course the play that was of course showcased from these lads. But eventually, as we move on along to the rankings, that was going to be of course favoring KSX as they got the chicken dinner with 25 points. But Zap Carnivore, the way they played that game in the final few moments, certainly stopped TRZ Esports' play, because TRZ Esports were looking absolutely ferocious. They had 6 kills with 8 placement points is what they walked away with, so 14 points for TRZ Esports as well. And Bad Intentions, just 1 placement point, but 11 kills is what this team got. So in total, 12 points for that team of Bad Intentions, and this is where we can very well expect that when it comes to the overall ranking, so many of these teams are going to be jumping into the top 8.
Indeed it is, and in all these situations it is also going to be other teams. I would love to see how the teams actually fans out in this own way, but Thundercloud really didn't have a good time. I mean, every time we have seen a team that's I mean, this has become now a custom thing that one team that gets the chicken will be getting eliminated just with taking maybe 1, 0 or 2 points.
Well, what a play it has been. Let's of course recap it all through the Oppo F19 Pro moments, where we shall see the highlights of this entire game.
Indeed it is, and the fight eventually started things off in the area of Pachinki, where it was T-Rex Skeleton blank going down with no blank point range, and it was Thunder Cloud that actually tried to pin them down. And then whenever you change your drop location, you need to make sure that you are comfortable enough. This time it was not Thundercloud, but it was Potato Hill. That was a deathbed, that was a graveyard. Generally we get to see graveyard in Miramar, but certainly Potato Hill became the graveyard for most of the team. In all these, it was Bad Intentions that we saw just dominated and annihilated each and every team that tried to just bloom in the same proximity, be it be any team, be it be Thundercloud, be it be the team that just got eliminated a moment ago. They were just looking ferocious. And then it was Zap Carnivore, the head-on-head fight. The fight actually erupted in a moment where Zap Carnivore, for one moment, it was going back and forth, with somewhere down the line was TRZ pouncing upon them, and then it was some brilliant knock from the side of Zap Carnivore coming and turning the game and changing the fortune. But finally it was KSAXC4 player surviving, and that's how the numbers advantage helps you in the last circle. And with this, we head towards the overall ranking, where we get to see Bad Intentions 63 total points. Still was not enough for all the teams from Group C and D to actually trespass, and following them it is going to be Infernal Parasite with 55 points, and TRZ Esports finally they have made a leap on the positioning total points, and 49, 1 short of a half century is where they are standing.
Exactly, and as we move on to the second page, this is where so many of these teams, like for example Eccentric Infantry, find themselves in the top 16. Final Cut Esports find themselves right here. Zap, of course, looking absolutely comfortable. KSX from the 4th page have moved on along to the 2nd page. So absolutely perfect approach being showcased from these teams. But as we move on across the board, this is going to be a close affair as the PMCO joins in along from one day through the next. Of course, tomorrow we're going to be looking at Group A going against Group D, where a different set will be showcased. But for now, it is going to be the 3rd page as we move on along, where again, this is learn from past. That is a team that performed, of course, yesterday, that played only 3 games but have been able to accumulate 18 points. So again, there are teams who have a lot of opportunities, but eventually in the entire saga, we did see Final Touch join in today with just 1 game. and of course after that they were nowhere to be seen. So that sort of an opportunity lost is not going to be a good way to start the day, especially when it comes to PMCO.
Yeah.
And there is so much on stake.
Definitely, and whenever, as you just mentioned, if the next day comes in, really good things to talk about. But for the moment, it is going to be the kill leaders where we are heading towards. The chart is on our TV screens. We get to see Bad Intentions Winter suddenly trespassing Kotter with a lot of kills. It is 18 in terms of the total number. It's just the 4 matches. I mean, 4.25.
That's going to be good tomorrow, because Bad Intentions is going to be playing tomorrow, and
Gods Reborn from Group A.
are going to be playing tomorrow as well. So, and there could very well be a rivalry between the two, the way they are playing, right?
Sure.
It could be the case.
Indeed, it is going to be, as you mentioned, if A and T are playing for tomorrow's gameplay, they will be looking to actually put their things strong, as Winter will be, from the side of Bad Intentions, will be going head to head, and there will be some sort of fight eventually at the end of the 4 matches. There will be some moment where we get to witness Bad Intentions player maybe go head on head towards the team that is still standing on the first position. But for the news from the middle is that Gods Reborn 69 total points is still not unbreached, but will be it enough when we get to see tomorrow's game where the A and D will be heading towards.
Well, for that, of course, we have to wait till tomorrow. But for now, all I have to do is thank you guys, of course, for tuning in, as well as Oppo F19 Pro for making this all happen. With that, we do reach the end of our show for the day. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow.
Here we go now. 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 Here we go